Hi, Moonbeam. I am so excited to see you. Thank you so much for being here and welcome to the Good Life Masterclass, Awakening Your Purpose and Manifesting with the Moon, the Good Witch Guide to Thriving in the Modern World. I'm Shannon, the Good Witch, and I don't want you to think of me as your coach. I want you to think of me as your cheerleader, as your good friend, here to encourage you to keep going, to keep sharing your unique gifts with your community, because you make the world a better place just by being you. And you add the most value to the world and to your community and to all of the people that you meet just by being yourself, by being exactly who you are. And I am so nervous to record this course because this is something that's been 2+ years in the making, but I feel more confident than ever in my message. And really, that message is just to let you know how powerful you are, to help you see that you have so much potential. And that when you go out and when you share your natural gifts with your community, that good things are going to happen to you, that good things are coming to you. And I want you to just see how powerful you are. And I want you to be able to tune into your intuition, to stop looking outside of yourself for joy or for answers. I want you to be able to trust your intuition, to follow your heart, to trust your gut, so that you can take confident, aligned action in everything that you do. You are so valuable. You are so worthy of happiness and joy and wealth and success and abundance. And I just want to help you to feel ready and excited and enthusiastic to wake up every day and to take action towards your dreams. You have a unique dharma, a unique reason for being here on earth. If you are alive today, you have a purpose. If you are watching this, you have a purpose. And I am here to help you see that and to get really clear on what that is, on exactly how you add value by being yourself, exactly how you can help people by being you, by using your natural gifts, by doing the things that come easily to you. So before I go any further, let's just start with the slides. We're going to dive in. Here goes nothing. Okay, so if you're here, you have the slides. You have downloaded the presentation that I've created to go along with this course. And the very first thing that you're going to see is just a thank you. A thank you so much for being here and supporting the Good Witch mission. So just a little bit more about the Good Witch. Our mission is to spread unconditional love, to inspire positive change, and to empower mankind to create a happier and kinder world. And the Good Witch is on a mission to raise $7 million for vulnerable populations, while helping 1 million people around the world to live their dharma. So that's my mission. That's why I'm here. $7 from your purchase will be donated to my favorite charities, and they are also so grateful for you. So grateful for your support. And after this, I really hope that you just have so much clarity in how you can go out and help other people. So that is the point. That is why I'm here. And although I am not an expert, I am kind of a hot mess myself, and that's why I teach this kind of stuff, because I need this kind of guidance in my life. And when I'm feeling inspired, when I have those creative downloads, when I have those inspired ideas, I have to write it down so that I have a place to go back and look and to remind myself. This comes from the highest version of myself, and I am not always that version of myself. But today I am feeling like that version of myself. And that's why I chose to sit down and record today, because even though I have been working on this for more than 2 years now, I'm growing and changing as a human being every single day. And so are you. We are constantly evolving. And so when we put so much pressure on ourselves to come up with a process or to create something, it can feel really hard to ever feel like you have a finished product. At least that's how I generally feel, because we're constantly evolving and there's always going to be more to say. But today, I am going to do my best to share with you what I have learned to be true in my life. And I'm going to share that guidance that I've received from my highest self, from my soul, from the depths of my core. And I'm going to try really hard not to just read off of my slides, but just to speak from the heart and to share what I'm feeling today. This is the most up-to-date version of these divine downloads that started coming through 2 years ago. And if I don't share it now, I'm afraid that it's never going to happen. I've sat down to record this before, and it's just never really felt quite there yet. So I'm really praying today that that this works, and please bear with me. And let's get started. Let's move on. I'm going to try really hard not to ramble too much. So if you do want to learn any more about the Good Witch mission, go to shannonthegoodwitch.com and you can learn how your purchase is making a positive impact. Also, if you have these slides downloaded, there are going to be some slides that just have a lot of text on them right at the beginning. There's a preface. And just to kind of sum that up, I just want to remind you that if you're here, that means that you're an action taker. And I like to think of myself as an action taker too. But that's what's gotten me into a lot of trouble in the past. I've ended up feeling really burnt out, even when I'm pursuing things that really mean a lot to me and things that have been passions. But I have a tendency to exert all of my energy and to just want to be the best version of myself. And I have a feeling that you do too. That's why you're here. This is a reminder to slow down, to take your time, that there is no rush, and that at the end of the day, you know, when you are aligned with your dharma, when you're living your soul's purpose, life should feel easy. It should feel fun. And we are going to tune in to your natural gifts, your superpowers, so that you can start to live and thrive peacefully in the modern world. As a society, in this modern day world where there's the internet, there's social media, we have learned to look outside of ourselves for joy, for guidance. And we end up actually losing ourselves completely because we're so immersed in the noise. We're just constantly consuming, but we're actually meant to create. And that creation comes from within. Yes, we absolutely are constantly learning, and we are meant to experience life and to connect with others and to share our gifts. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that you aren't seeking success or happiness or a certain path because you've seen somebody else have success in that way. I want you to be able to do exactly what feels right to you, to use your natural gifts. I don't want you to be afraid to be yourself because you want to fit in. I don't want you to be afraid to take the kind of action that feels right or to do what feels right to you because you're worried that you're going to get in trouble or that people aren't going to like you or support you. I am here to be your guide, to hold your hand through this process of getting to know yourself, of getting clearer on who you are so that you can show up and serve the world in the way that you were meant to, the way that you were designed to. No one else is like you. You are one of a kind, and you add the most value to others by being yourself. So you have to be authentic. You have to shine your light if you want the right people to come to you. How else are they going to find you if they don't know who you really are? There are other people out there that can resonate with your experiences, but you are the only one that's had your exact experiences. And so you are going to be able to teach something that someone else is also teaching, but in your own unique way. You are going to be able to share your gifts in a unique way. It doesn't matter if somebody else is already doing what you feel called to do. You are going to be able to do that in your own special way. And when you do it exactly as you are, from a place of just feeling so called and so immersed and so natural, that's how you're going to thrive in life, because there are people out there that need you and they want you, not this version of yourself that you've created because that's what you have seen on the outside. They want what's inside. So that's what we're going to work on. And I just have a quick slide about dharma. I want you to know that the word dharma, for the sake of this masterclass, means your soul's purpose. So you can kind of think of that as your life's mission statement. And we all have one. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think we all can really feel a little bit lost sometimes in seeking that sense of purpose. But there's really not just this one big thing that you're meant to accomplish or that you're supposed to do. Your dharma is really just about how you show up and serve others by being yourself. You are meant to share your gifts with the world. We are all one. When we work together with the greater good in mind, when we're kind, when we're loving, when we are generous, when we are open to meeting all kinds of people, and when we can be ourselves around them, we are making a positive impact. And you don't need fame. You don't need talent. You don't need experience. You don't need all of these credentials to be able to go out and do something good. You are making a positive impact. You are changing the world. You are raising the vibrations of the planet just by being here. And when you can be yourself, when you can feel free to just be the fullest, truest expression of yourself, that's when you're helping the most people. That's when you're really, really raising the vibrations of the planet. We want you to be on that high frequency all the time. And of course, there are going to be ups and downs in life and things that happen that, you know, you lose sight of that a little bit. But that's why I want to help you to build a practice of being able to return, to being able to slow down, to detach a little bit, and to go within and to remind yourself on a regular basis of who you truly are. So, once again, welcome to the Good Life Masterclass. So a couple of years ago, I recorded this as the Lasting Happiness Workshop. And that was really, really fun. And that's something that's still online, still available, and you can go and find it. But this is the latest version after some learning and growing and training as a certified spiritual life coach and Dharma coach through the Dharma Coaching Institute. I have just added in a little bit of that essence of just who I've discovered myself to be through all of this education and learning that I've been doing over the past couple of years. So through this course, we are going to talk about your purpose. We are going to awaken that purpose within you. We are going to look to the moon through a lens of just that moon being a reminder of us to live cyclically, to align with the seasons. There's a season for everything. And you are a divine creator, but you are not meant to be creating all the time. Sometimes you need to have that slower winter season to slow down, to go inward, to detach from everybody else, and to just be with yourself. And then you're going to reemerge in the spring and in the summer to step out fully into your power and to share what it is that you are meant to share with the world. So this is the Good Witch Guide to Thriving in the Modern World. And I hope that you take something out of it. You're in the right place if you are multi-passionate and you're mission-driven, but maybe you're burnout and you're lacking direction. I have been there so many times, and I want you to know that you're not alone. And so if you don't take anything else away from this, just realize that you're not alone, that whatever you're feeling is okay. And you know that your goals aren't the end. They are a means to an end. And no matter what action you're taking today, there's a bigger picture. There is a grand scheme of things. And So it's okay to be multi-passionate. It's okay to have multiple ongoing projects at once, but just make sure that you are taking time to nurture yourself and to get that much needed rest so that you can show up when the time is right and take that aligned action. You're in the right place if you're seeking a deeper sense of purpose in your life or work. Maybe you're somebody who's been working a full-time job and you just feel really disconnected to the work that you're doing, and you know that there's a deeper meaning for your life. There's something else that you're meant to be doing, and you know that there's more. So hopefully we can help you to gain some clarity on that. Maybe you're somebody who already knows your purpose and you're feeling like you just really want to be able to embody it, but maybe you're just a little bit embarrassed, or you're afraid of what people are going to think when you step into that full power, when you are your authentic self. And so I am here to help you, if that resonates, to feel confident, to feel like when you are yourself, that it's okay. It's going to be more than okay, actually. And that's actually how you're going to end up really transforming your life and getting the most out of it. People want you to be you. And you might not realize it right now. And it's going to feel scary for sure, but it is going to be worth it to do this work. Maybe you're navigating a season of change or rebirth, and it's time to just shed your old skin and step into this new chapter with confidence. And like I said, I've said that word a few times. I just want you to feel confident in every action that you take, in every decision that you make moving forward. And in order to do that, you have to know who you are. You have to know your values. And so that's what we are going to work on here. You're going to let go of anything that's not serving you, and you are going to call in exactly what it is that you want. And last but not least, maybe you're just craving a little bit more magic and joy in your life. And, we all want that. There is magic everywhere. And sometimes it can be really hard to see with all of the noise and all of the distractions. And so I hope that this class just helps you to tune in, to recognize all of that magic that exists around you and within you. So I'm here to help. That magic that we're all seeking resides inside of us and reveals itself when we get quiet enough to listen. Use the tools that I've mapped out in the Good Life Masterclass to get to know yourself better, so that you can confidently step into your power and live freely, joyfully, and abundantly as your highest self. So, items to have nearby. I want you to have a notebook or your journal. You can also just print out these slides. I think there's a way to do it so that you can see like half the pages like the slides, and then there's some places to take notes on the side. Or you can just have a few pieces of scratch paper. You can also just like make a note on your phone or use a Google Doc, but we are going to be going through some journaling prompts. And I find that like freehand writing really helps me to tap into that like creative side of myself, and to really tune into that highest version of myself and reflect and write from that place. So if possible, try to actually write with like a pen and paper, or a pencil or marker or crayon, or your choice of utensil. Grab some water, make sure that you're ready to like get cozy and to take your time with this. Have a snack nearby so that you don't have to like take a break and go and get something if you get hungry. Maybe heat up a nice cup of cacao or coffee or tea or whatever it is that you like to drink. Just make sure you're comfy, make sure you have everything you need nearby. And lastly, if there's anything else that just helps you to really enhance those intuitive powers, candles, incense, your crystals, some vibey music, go for it. I actually recorded this without any music because I wanted to make sure that I didn't add something that just didn't resonate with you. I thought about putting some music into this. I did link in the slides a playlist that you can use just to have on in the background. But you can also just choose your own music, or you can do this in silence, whatever works best for you. Okay. So now that we got all of that out of the way, without further ado, we are going to get started. Wish me luck. Here goes nothing. Okay, so the good in me sees the good in you. That is just kind of my little version of namaste. I'm Shannon. I am a former TV news anchor turned serial entrepreneur. So I'm a photographer. I'm a videographer. I have 2 Airbnbs, vacation rental properties in Pittsburgh. I started those by actually turning a house into a photography studio during COVID when all of my weddings that I was shooting were canceled. And through that pandemic, through that break is actually when all of these inspired ideas really started to come through. So that was really neat. That's really cool to kind of look back on and see how all of these different aspects of me and my business and how I am sharing my gifts with others, offering my services has just evolved and shaped over the years. And I'm somebody who's always kind of felt like a jack of all trades, a master of none. But I'm definitely starting to feel a little bit better about just being willing to go with the flow, to ebb and flow with my natural energy levels and whatever is calling me at the moment, to be able to do a little bit of this and do a little bit of that and ebb and flow back and forth. I've always felt like there should be just this one thing that I stick to and that I get really good at, but that's boring. Who wants to do the same thing every day? So anyway, as your coach, I'm here to help you recognize and harness the magic that resides inside of you so that you can easily and effectively spark a ripple effect of positive change in yourself, in your life, and in the world around you. So this is not something that is just for people who want to start a career with their dharma. We are all creators. We're creating the life that's happening around us, whether we realize it or not. And I just want to make sure that everything that you're seeing in your life is aligned with what you really want. And if it's not, to help you realize that you have the power to make a change. So I'm here to help you ignite your inner magic. Thank you so much, by the way. A little shout out to Aisha Santos Designs. She's my brand and website designer. I would not be here in this place today without her. I'm so grateful that I released that control or that little thing that needed to get done. I had to have a website so that you all could find me, and so that I could really share my message in an easy to understand way. Talking about spirituality and manifestation and dharma and the law of attraction and just magic, is something that is a little woo-woo and can be kind of tough to explain. And so I'm so grateful that she was able to cultivate a feeling through my website, through my branding, that really embodies me and represents me and what I have to give. So thank you so much, Aisha. I would recommend you to absolutely anyone. And yes, so thank you for making it so easy for me to create products like this that look cohesive. And I have so many, I have a really hard time making decisions and to choosing and colors and all of that. That was just one less thing that I had to worry about. So thanks again. I'm Shannon the Good Witch. One more time. Here's my cute little branded emblem there, holding some flowers. It's my favorite thing to just be outside in nature and to smell the flowers and to just stop and notice all of the beauty that exists. And I'm really passionate about helping creators to manifest their heart's truest desires with ease. You are a divine creator. So you are connected to source, to God, to whatever you want to call that higher power. That power is within you, and you're emitting a frequency with your thoughts. You are creating the world around you. And if you didn't know that before, I'm glad that you know now. And I think that sometimes that can be a little bit scary. when we start to think about that, like, if there is something in our life that we're seeing that we're not really happy about, we can feel like, oh my gosh, did I manifest this? Did I create this? And of course, there are going to be things that are outside of our control. We really just have the power to take those circumstances and to see the positives in them, to take our pain and turn it into purpose, to turn it into power, to see the good in everything, to find the silver linings. And we have the ability to choose what to think about whatever is happening around us and to make a change, to change course, and to be really intentional about what it is that we're thinking, about what it is that we want in our lives, so that we're attracting the good stuff. So, question, if you had a magic wand, what would you create for your life? I asked this question because essentially you do have a magic wand. Like I just said, you are a divine creator. You are creating the world that you see around you. You are more in control than you think. So I want to help you start to get really crystal clear about what it is that you really want, so that you can start to ask for it, because the universe isn't going to give you what you want unless it knows what you want. And you aren't going to know what you want if you don't really stop and make the time to ask. So that's what we're going to do in this next hour and a half, 2 hours. I don't know how long this is going to be, but bear with me. Take your time. There is no rush. Pause at any moment that you need a break. I'm also not going to leave like a ton of time for these reflections or these journaling prompts as we go. I'm going to continue to move forward. And that's why I didn't add the music or anything. You have some music in the background, pause the video and take all the time you need to do some reflecting, to tune in and to journal at your own pace. But I do want you to know that if you're not sure what you would create, you're not alone. We get so caught up in life happening around us that we often forget to tune in and ask ourselves what we really want. And so I hope that you really take this opportunity to do that. I'm so proud of you for being here and for doing something kind and loving for yourself today. And I hope that you come back and you revisit this. This is not something that's meant to be done once. I'm going to teach you a cycle, my ritual for coming back, for grounding down, for tuning in, so that you just have this constant reminder to step away, especially if you're really starting to feel stressed or anxious or irritated or angry or whatever that emotion that's coming up for you is that doesn't feel so good. I want you to be able to take a break, to slow down, to step away, to take a deep breath, and to tune in and to reconnect to that highest version of yourself. So my hope for you is that you'll walk away from this masterclass with a deeper understanding of yourself, of your purpose and your intentions, so that you can show up confidently in every area of your life, sure of your decisions and certain in your actions as you pursue your highest potential. So the Good Life Ferris wheel. This is my 4-phase manifestation ritual. You are the divine creator of your life, and absolutely anything is possible. I want you to use this cyclical ritual that I created to regulate your mind and body as you set out to live your soul's purpose and reach your highest potential. You are going to have to put in some work to create this dream life, but it's supposed to feel easy. It shouldn't feel hard. It shouldn't be draining you. And this is my practice. This is my way of slowing down so that I can avoid that burnout, because sometimes we get so excited about something, or we just feel like there's no other option but to keep going. But trust me, there is. And when you take that time to slow down and fill your cup, you are going to be able to go out and give so much more of yourself and to make an even bigger impact. And I'll tell you a little bit more later about why I call that the Good Life Ferris wheel. There's some symbolism there, and we will revisit that when the time comes. And I also wanted to make sure that before we really dive into these journaling prompts, that we take a moment to really ground down with a few deep breaths. So before we go any further, let's just slow it down a little bit. Go ahead and find a comfortable seat. Close your eyes if it feels comfortable. I definitely don't want you just staring at the bright computer screen. And just start to relax your body from the top of your head, down your neck, through your shoulders. Notice your breath. Notice how you feel. And let's together just take 3 big, deep, cleansing breaths. And on this last one, just let it all go. Let go of anything that isn't serving you in this moment. And just go ahead and return to a natural rhythm of breathing. And place your attention on your heart. Maybe you can even bring a hand to your heart, maybe one hand to your belly. And just feel that warmth. Be gentle with yourself. Be kind. And you can do this anytime throughout this class, throughout your day. I find that this always just makes me feel a little bit better, a little bit more at ease. And for a moment, just go ahead and visualize that there's a flame or a warm white light inside of you, in that heart space. And I want you to think of this light as your highest self, as your connection to that infinite source power that made us, that's always been there, that never dies. And I want you to let that warm light fill your entire body until you're overflowing and it just starts to spill out from every direction. Just send that love and light out to the world. Let it fill the room. Let it fill your city. Let it fill your state. Let it fill your country. Let it fill the entire world, the entire universe with love. You are always connected. And you always have the power to come back to this feeling of peace and love and warmth and joy. So when you're ready, go ahead and just come back into your body. Come back to this room. Come back to this class here with me. And open your eyes. Shake anything out. Also, feel free to hop up and move around at any point during this class. You don't want to let your legs fall asleep. I definitely do that a lot, but sometimes it's good just to get up, to shake it out, to stretch a little bit. Okay. Back to the slides. Okay. Cyclical living. There's a season for everything. A time for work, a time for play, a time for rest, and a time for growth. So that's why I love the moon so much. I've learned to look to the moon for guidance, for a reminder to ebb and flow with those natural rhythms of energy. Everything, has a cycle, a season. And the moon actually exerts a really strong gravitational pull that causes the changing tides in our oceans, in our bodies of water. And because we are made up of so much water, the moon affects our physical bodies as well. My manifestation ritual is inspired by the seasons and the phases of the moon. The Good Life Ferris wheel is inspired by the seasons and the phases of the moon. And so we are going to talk a little bit about how we can use the moon for guidance, how we can look to it to remind us to take those breaks, or to maybe go out and to really start to put in that work, or maybe to clear some space. There are going to be different phases of the moon cycle that you can really use to be the most productive. And sometimes the most productive thing to do is rest. The magical moon. So during our honeymoon trip through New England, my partner Alex and we stopped for a spontaneous visit to Salem, Massachusetts, where I found a little store called House Witch. And oh my gosh, if you're ever in Salem, you have to go. I loved this store so much. They have little spell kits and, of course, candles and incense and crystals and all of that good witchy stuff. But something that I found there was a book, and it was called House Magic. And it was so cool because I was flipping through the book and I noticed a photo of the author inside of the book, and I looked up and there she was behind the counter. And that was just so cool to actually see that this woman created this magical space, and she created a book to guide people to really be able to tune into that power that's within all of us. And I was just so grateful for that experience. And I wanted to share that and just give a little bit of a shout out. That is really where my love affair with crystals and the moon began. I have always identified as a witch, a good witch, of course. I loved magic as a little kid. And I think we all do. We're all really drawn to, I mean, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of us are drawn to fairy tales and magic. We love Harry Potter, and, just like, it's so fun to allow ourselves to think a little bit bigger, to feel like anything is possible. And the reason that we all resonate with that so much is because it's true. We're told as we grow up that these things are just fictional and that it's not real and it's make believe. And we lose touch with that belief in magic that we often have as little kids. And so it's been really amazing to reconnect with that witch that has always been in me. When I was little, I loved making potions and doing spells. I had spell books. And, as you get older, I still have always really tuned in to the beauty and the magic that was around, but I kind of lost touch with that witch and that desire to really create, and to feel like I could use my magic for good, or to use it in a really magical way. I started to think more analytically. I started to look to science and even to those things that do seem really magical, like manifestation, law of attraction. I looked to the science behind it, and I didn't really have that connection to the spiritual side. And so it's been really amazing to allow myself, to give myself permission to really just embody that spirit, that magic that's always been there, and to reconnect with it. So I finally got to reading this book, and since then I've learned to create more ease in my daily life by syncing up with the lunar calendar, by syncing up with my female hormonal cycle. It's very similar to the lunar calendar, and the phases are very similar. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that now. I want you to think of the dark moon, or the new moon. So I guess really most people call it the new moon, but during the new moon, the moon is dark in the sky. You can't really see it. It's there, but you can't see it. And so I call it the dark moon. And that's kind of like our winter season. The waxing moon, when the moon is growing in the sky, is like springtime. The full moon is like summertime, and the waning moon, when it's getting smaller, is like the fall. And so if you have a menstrual cycle, if you have a period, and you're not like taking any, hormonal birth control or anything like that, you're going to have a very similar natural hormonal cycle. So you can think of that winter season or that new moon season like your menstrual phase. That's a really good time for you to slow down, to go inward. You're feeling really intuitive. That's a time for you to take a little bit of a break, to rest a little bit more. Then in your follicular phase, you can think of that like the springtime or the waxing moon phase. Your ovulatory phase is like that summer season, like you're glowing, you just want to go out and celebrate life. And you can do a little bit more then. You'll have the extra energy, the full moon energy. I don't know if you've ever like noticed or thought about when there's a full moon, or if you've heard like that, like there's the crazies all come out, and you kind of think of like the werewolves like turning during that full moon. That is because the energy is just extra high, and we can really feel our full power. And then our luteal phase is kind of like the fall or the waning moon phase. And so I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into what I have created as a way to give you some guidance into my ritual. So I think of that dark or new moon phase, that winter season, as my dream phase. The waxing moon or the springtime is the devote phase. The full moon is a time to dance. That summer season is a time to really embody our full power and our full expression, and to celebrate. And the waning moon, that fall season, is a time to detach, a time to step away, a time to kind of wrap up any projects, to do some clearing and cleaning, to make room for that cycle to begin again. We start to slow down there. We go inward to rest, and we dream, and then we have these divine downloads, and we can start to take inspired action and plant the seeds that we want to see sprout, and we can start to water those in the springtime with the waxing moon. And that's when we're really calling in more of what we really want. And it keeps going in an endless cycle. So like I said, this is something that you can come back to and revisit. This is just meant to make it a little bit more digestible, a little bit more understandable, and mostly fun. So if you're looking at the slides, you will see that I just kind of put in some graphics here that really just show you the phases of the moon, and how that aligns with the phases of my manifestation ritual, the Good Life Ferris wheel. So the full moon is a time for welcoming any kind of positivity into your life. It's a time of celebration, completion, abundance, and gratitude. Not only is it a great time to appreciate all that was brought in during the waxing moon phase, but it's a great time to feel your full power. Throw a party on the full moon for guaranteed high vibes. This is just like a direct quote from my House Magic book by Erica Feldman. This is where I really learned about the moon, and I have been having full moon parties ever since. It just feels so good to bring people together to celebrate all the good that we have. And it's just a reminder to take a little bit of a break from whatever it is that we're working towards. When we are really purpose-driven and when we're multi-passionate, we can often just get so caught up in work and we forget to celebrate all that we've already accomplished, all the good that we already have. And gratitude is really just key. When we can recognize all the good that we already have, that's when we feel so abundant, we feel so full, and we're just going to emit that frequency and attract more abundance into our lives. The waning moon. So after the full moon, you're going to start to notice that it starts to get smaller again. When the moon is getting smaller in the sky, it's a good time to declutter, literally and symbolically. So what do you want less of in your life? This is a really good time to let go of anything that's not serving you. And this can be like physical things, like you can clean out your closet, you can donate your clothes, you can just like tidy everything up, create a really serene space for yourself, for magic to flow. And this can also just be energetically. Maybe there's like a fear or a limiting belief or just like an anxiety around something going on in your life that you need to let go of. And this is a really great time to do that during that waning moon phase when the moon is getting smaller. It's kind of like a fall autumn phase where we're kind of starting to detach a little bit from our circle. We just came out of a summer season where we're really like spending a lot of time with other people and we're soaking up all of their energy. This is a time to kind of detach a little bit, to start to slow down, to start to do whatever it is that you need to do for you so that you then have that space to rest during the new moon or the dark moon phase, that winter season. And I put in a little slide here with some Palo Santo, which is Spanish for holy wood. And this is a little tool that I like to use from nature to clear out any stagnant energy, anything that's not serving me, any negative energy. This is a really great way to clear. We can smudge or just light this like incense. Sometimes people use like sage or something. I like Palo Santo because it's also really good for setting new intentions simultaneously. So as we're letting go of the negative or the stagnant energy, we're also welcoming in peace and positivity and setting our new intentions, keeping that in mind. And so I have a fun little spell that you can say if you do have Palo Santo, or you have like any other incense or something, herbs that you want to use to clear the energy in your space. You can say this fun little spell. And I realize I don't have a slide for it in here. I'll have to make sure I add that in, but it is north, south, east, west, clear this space, make it fresh. When I rise and when I rest in this space, I feel my best. And you can make that your own. I actually have a slide down the road here a little bit about how you can write your own spells, how all of your words are spells. And it's really just about like putting out there what you really want, being really intentional with your words, with your thoughts, with your language. And it's also just meant to be fun. And when you rhyme, it can be really easy to remember those affirmations. those spells. And so go ahead and write your own spell, make something up. I just made that up. Like it's not like a spell I got from some spell book somewhere. It's just something fun, a good reminder for myself, and something cool that I can do to kind of shift that energy if I ever feel the need to. And the reason that I put it here is because during that waning moon phase, it's a really good time to do that, to let go of anything that's not serving you and to welcome in more peace and positivity and space for magic to flow. And the dark moon. So for a few days before we begin to see the little crescent moon again reappear in the sky, the moon goes dark. So embrace the darkness and go inward. Take advantage of that winter season to rest and rejuvenate, to fill your cup. Allow your mind and body time and space to heal and recover. Figuratively speaking, this is the perfect time to recharge your batteries. The sun will rise and we will begin again, but before it does, do whatever it takes to refill your cup. If you're not physically healthy, you won't be able to access the more subtle layers of yourself because your survival brain will be more concerned with trying to keep you alive. So although we're so much more than our physical bodies, our bodies give us the ability to experience life through our senses. So tenderly care for the temple that you reside in so that you can experience the bliss of life. I want you to respect, honor, and nourish your body so that you are able to show up and take aligned action towards your dharma with the waxing moon. So here's just one more fun little spell for you to try during the dark moon. And once again, make these your own, but this is just a fun little spell that I like to say during the dark moon before we start to see that little crescent moon start to appear again. Okay, here goes. The moon is dark, it hides above. I go within to find the love, to guide me toward what's good and true, what's best for me and best for you. Before we talk about the waxing moon again, we're going to talk about the new moon, which is very similar to the dark moon, but I really like to think of the new moon as when we actually start to see that teeny little sliver, that skinniest crescent that shows up in the sky after a few days of darkness. So in magical practices, the new moon is a time to mark the new lunar cycle. And it's a really great time to welcome in fresh starts, to set your intentions, to plant seeds. And you can even kind of think of this as a new year. So that happens generally in the winter season, January, wherever you are in the world. Maybe you're somewhere like I am in Hawaii right now, where, I mean, they definitely have seasons, but like they don't have snow or, the leaves don't fall off the trees. I'm lucky enough to be spending a portion of my winter here. And yeah, it feels really good. But there is also something about those seasons that really remind us to slow down. And so if you're somewhere where you don't really have that winter season, look to the moon, remember to honor that natural inclination to go inward, to slow down before you start something new, a new big project, or maybe to continue working on an ongoing project. But so this is a really great time to set your intentions, to plant seeds. And you can literally use this time to plant a garden if the season is right in your area of the world. If it's a new moon and you want to I love to do a spell where I actually burn my intentions. I'll write down my manifestations during the waxing moon, and then I save it. I'll burn it during the waning moon, and then I'll actually put the ashes into a pot with a plant during the new moon and plant those intentions, and I start to water them and watch them grow. You can also do this as a visualization exercise. Anything, any kind of a spell that you see through this masterclass or in life somewhere, you can always do it as just a visualization exercise if you don't have the actual materials to do it physically. So that's just something to keep in mind. But this is a time to just really take a moment to reflect on the past, to check in with your current circumstances, your thoughts, your emotions, to do some forward thinking. What has been working really well for you? How can you keep doing more of that? What hasn't been working so well? Can we let that go from our attention this time and really start to focus on what has been working and see those positives, and to really plant the seeds that we want to see bloom in this new spring season? And one more fun spell to try during the new moon for planting those seeds and, moving into that spring season when we're really setting our intentions and we're starting to water those seeds. So this is just something to help you kind of visualize, and it can be really fun just to say every night before bed. Earth, water, wind, and fire, I offer up my heart's desire. As I sleep, please bring to me the fruits of all these magic seeds. And so now we're going to talk about the waxing moon. So when the moon is said to be waxing, the visible part is growing in the sky. So this is the best time for manifestation spells, like I just mentioned, for drawing things to you, for calling in more of what you want. Think of what you want more of in your life right now. What's missing? The waxing moon is all about amplification, attraction, and expansion. So you could try this simple spell from House Magic by Erica Feldman. I put it in the slides here. I'm not going to walk you through the entire thing right now. I just want you to be able to look to that on your own, something that you can try. And like I said, once again, if you don't have all of the materials like, the pyrite or a key or a candle or incense or whatever, just do it in your mind as kind of a visualization exercise. The point is to really just shift our focus to the things that we want rather than the things that we don't want. And I want you to just kind of think about the moon and the universe like this. So if you're looking at this slide here, the moon represents your spiritual practice. So the moon revolves around the earth, and it controls our weather, and it makes this like a livable planet. So we can think of the moon like our spiritual practices. And those practices, those cyclical practices, those rituals are helping us so that our souls can live in our bodies, so that we can thrive. As if you're thinking of the earth, like our physical body, that moon or our spiritual practices regulate our physical bodies, so that we can go out and do our life's work, so that we can fulfill our purpose, so that we can embody our dharma, so that we can help others with our natural gifts. Now, the sun represents your soul. It's that light that is always there. It's always there inside of you. It's warming the planet. It's warming your physical body. It's giving you life. The sun gives our planet life. The plants and, the trees can't grow without the sunlight. Our souls are like the sun. And so our physical bodies are revolving around the sun, just like our physical bodies are revolving around our soul, just as the earth is revolving around the sun and the moon is revolving around the earth. It's all cyclical. It's all a cycle, and it's all connected. It's all aligned. And space represents source, higher power, God. We are all connected. It's all working together. There is this divine organizing power, and everything that's happening is for the greater good of all. So sometimes it can feel like we are struggling, like we are stuck, like there's a resistance. And so don't, just remember to lean into the things that feel natural, that feel good, that feel flowing. And we're going to talk a little bit more about karma and kriya, which is flow. And I'll share a little bit more about that, but this is just kind of a visual for you about how it's all connected, about how it's all working together, and how source is really just divinely keeping us all in order and all on that divine path. And it's always working for us, for the greater good of all. So I'm going to take a quick little pause here and I will come back and we're going to start talking about manifestation. This might be a good time for you to take a little bathroom break or to refill your water cup or anything like that. Okay, welcome back. We are going to dive into manifestation. This is kind of a buzzword lately. I'm sure you've heard of it, especially if you've been following along with me on social media. It's something that I talk about. It's something that feels really magical, but really it's about taking aligned, decisive action towards your goals. So you are creating the world that you see unfolding around you. And so when we can start to be a little bit more intentional about our thoughts and our goals and our dreams, then we can create the life that we really want to be living, the one that we've always dreamed of. And so to help you kind of understand manifestation, to give you a little bit of like a symbolism or something to look to in nature of how it works, I want you to think of a spider. So when a spider is hungry, or I guess this is just probably what a spider does, like for shelter, where a spider lives, they cast a web. So they don't like go out and hunt for their food. They do what feels instinctual, what feels natural for them. And they create this web to catch their food, to let their food come to it. So this is kind of like manifestation. We want to do what is aligned for us, what feels right for us. And I think there's kind of this misconception sometimes that manifestation is about just sitting around and like thinking about what you want, and that it's just going to come to you because you thought about it, because you visualized it, because you saw it in your mind. And although that is a giant piece of the process, you're going to have to take action, but it's action that should feel really natural and aligned. So like a spider casting a web, we feel like when we see a spider web, like it's so beautiful and intricate. Maybe you think it's gross. I think it's nice. If I see a spider web in my house, I like to just leave it there and let the spider be. Now that I have my house on Airbnb, I often feel like I do have to get rid of the spider webs. So I'll pick up the spider and put it outside, which makes me feel very sad. And then I'll get rid of the web. But I know that spider is just going to keep trying. It's going to do it again. And so just like when life throws us obstacles or something goes wrong, we can keep using our natural gifts and keep doing what feels right to manifest our goals. We shouldn't be looking to what other people are doing and taking that action. We should be doing what feels right to us, what feels natural and instinctual and intuitive. And so, like a spider, it doesn't matter if somebody comes and knocks it down or the wind blows, it's just going to create that web again. And it trusts that by doing this, it's going to attract everything it needs to survive and thrive. So, then, once the spider takes this action and creates this web, what does it do next? Well, it just sits and waits. It's patient. It allows the universe to handle the details. It allows nature to do its part to provide the food, the insects, by just letting them come and fly into that web and catches them. So this is just a reminder that like once we've taken that action that feels aligned, that feels intuitive, we need to take a rest and just be patient and trust that it's all coming. We don't have to just continue working and working and working. That spider doesn't go and like put up webs in a bunch of different places. It like stays put in that web and waits for the flies and the insects to come and fly in. And it just trusts that it's going to work. So that's how manifestation works. We know what we want, which in this spider's case, it's food. But for us, anything is possible. We can choose to create anything. We can choose to call in and attract absolutely anything of our choice. And then in order to get that, we should just be taking whatever action that feels good, that feels easy, that feels fun. And like I was saying, that spider, it seems like it's tough for, like we wouldn't be able to just like make this beautiful, intricate web, but that's what that spider's good at. And so if we just continue to do what we're good at, what feels easy, what feels natural, what feels intuitive, what feels instinctual, then everything else that we need is coming to us. And it's okay to just do a little bit, take a little break, rest, be patient, trust that everything we need is coming. And then we go out and take those aligned opportunities when they present themselves, when they feel right, when they feel aligned. And so rather than creating the web, we are taking action. We're taking inspired and aligned action towards our goals. So when we have a clear idea of what we want, it's a lot easier to know when an opportunity feels right, when it's something that we should be saying yes to. And if it's, something that just feels a little bit off, you can say no. You can choose to wait for the next opportunity to come along, the one that feels easier, the one that feels really good, the one that feels natural. And this is just another little like piece of symbolism. So like, think about it. If you were ordering a new couch for your living room, you don't like continue to sit at the computer and like reorder and order until it comes. Like you place the order, you get the confirmation email, and then you know that it's coming. So what do you do next? Well, you maybe get rid of your couch, or you like donate it or sell it or something, so that you can make room for the new one, for the things that are coming into you, so into your life. So this is also like another really big piece of manifestation, is like trusting the process, trusting that you've placed your order, the universe knows what you want and it's sending it, and you don't have to continue to check in or to think about it. Like you're then going to go back to your daily life and take care of everything else that needs to be done. And then your couch will arrive, and then you can think about the next thing that you want. So I hope that makes sense. I just want to make sure that I'm making this as easy to understand as possible, and not just talking about like quantum physics. So like there is a lot of science behind this. I swear this isn't all just like magic and woo-woo. Like you can read a lot of different texts. And I have links to all of my favorite sources throughout the rest of this class, so that you can dive a little bit deeper into the law of attraction and manifestation. I'm going to talk more about it and get a little bit more into the science. But before we do that, I just wanted to make sure you had like basic understanding of how it works. And yeah, that's it. So moving on. Intuition. So your mind is the processor between the physical realm and the intuitive realm. Your mind helps you to solve problems and make decisions, but it's really important to remember that you're more than your mind. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. And when you can connect more confidently to that divine spirit, to your essence, then your decisions will become so much easier. Your path will become clear and you'll flow in harmony with universal guidance. So like the spider who just knows exactly what to do when it's hungry, to get its food, how to survive, if you start to tap into your intuitive voice, it's going to feel the same way. You're not going to have to think so hard about everything. You're not going to have to plan out every detail. You're going to be able to trust and go with the flow. Trust that everything is working in your favor, that life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. And if you can just tune in and trust that, you know exactly what to do in the moment and you can be present, then you're always going to be on the right path. We are always connected to our intuition, but often the voice of our mind ends up interfering. It gets in the way. And it makes it difficult to hear what that intuitive voice is telling us. So every so often, I encourage you to step away from the hustle and bustle. Slow down and tune into that inner wisdom. And so these are just some fun activities that you can try. Of course, you can use meditation or something like that, but like there are so many other ways to really just tune in and slow down and listen. And so you can garden, you can paint, draw, walk, you can do some yoga, you can go for a swim or a hike, you can just do some free flow journaling, singing, dancing, you can read, you can cook. You can pull an oracle card. Maybe you're just like somebody who wants to decorate your space or organize or clean. And if that helps you to really tune in and to break away from like whatever your mind is thinking about, to get a little bit out of your head and more into your body, into your creativity, you can do these things too, just to help you tune into that intuition. So playing an instrument, scrapbooking, stargazing, just spending time in nature, writing poetry, reading poetry, photography. If you're somebody like me who's like an artist or a digital creator, maybe you love like making Instagram reels or something like that, anything. And there are some of like the techniques and things that you can learn and like watch videos on breath work or meditation or yoga. But a lot of the time, it's really just about like doing what feels good to you. Maybe think back to some of the things that you did when you were a kid that you kind of like lost touch with a little bit because life gets busy and, we don't make time for those things. But take a dance class or just like grab your iPad and start like open up the drawing apps and like draw in there if you don't have actual paints around or something like that. Just do anything to kind of tap into that creativity. That is very similar to your intuition when you're allowing yourself to just be creative, not to think so hard, just to be. And usually those things are really fun too. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit more about the law of attraction. So I learned about the law of attraction when I was 15 years old. So my mom was always listening to like personal development stuff, usually on like cassette tapes. Like I was that young. I'm 30 years old now. So back in the day, she was even like listening to this stuff when I was in her belly. And, she actually manifested me. My mom had 6 miscarriages before she had me. And the doctors actually told her that she would never be able to have a baby. She kept trying though, and she actually like painted a room pink and she called it the nursery. And she ended up bringing me into existence. And she says that when I came out, I looked exactly how she pictured me. And so it really just shows how the law of attraction and manifestation works, and how we just have to keep trusting and to keep going, to keep doing what we're feeling called to do and what feels right. Anything is possible. And so love you, Mom. Thank you. I had to share that quick little story. And so I learned of the law of attraction really from her, from all of the different things that she would listen to or read. And so one of those things ended up being the Secret. So The Secret is a pretty well-known text. It's also a documentary, and it's something I highly recommend. It's like a great intro to the law of attraction and manifestation, the power of positive thinking. And so Rhonda Burns, who is the author of that in The Secret, says, under the law of attraction, the complete order of the universe is determined, including everything that comes into your life and everything that you experience. It does so through the magnetic power of your thoughts. Through the law of attraction, like attracts like. What you think about, you bring about. And I had to put this in here. I had to mention The Secret because this is what got me started. As much as I told you I loved like just magic and spells and everything as a little girl, this was like my first real intro into being able to like, this seemed like realistic to me. I could really see the science behind it, the quantum physics behind it. And although I still don't like really fully understand it, I don't think our brains can ever possibly understand how it all works. This has been my guidance. This has been my teacher for half of my life for the past 15 years. And I've just felt so drawn to the idea of manifestation, the idea that we can create anything, that we can have anything that we desire. And so I want you to know, where I am getting my information, what resources that I'm using, so that you can go and, follow up and look at that and like take what you want from it. This is just like my understanding of the law of attraction, but I wanted to make sure I was adding in like some quotes and some real resources and references here for you. So moving on, your thoughts emit a frequency. Thoughts create things. Whether you realize it or not, you are creating your life through the power of your thoughts. Whether you like it or not, you have attracted everything that has shown up in your reality by placing your attention on it. So the law of attraction isn't biased to once or don't once. So when you focus on something, no matter what it happens to be, you're calling that into existence. So like if you're thinking, I don't want to be late, I don't want to be late over and over, the universe is only hearing late. Like it's not hearing that you don't want it, it's just hearing late. So like when you're thinking about that, that is what you're attracting. And you're going to end up finding yourself feeling anxious and in traffic. And, like that's what's actually going to cause you to be late. Luckily, there is like a delayed reaction. I don't want you to worry that like every single thing that you're thinking is going to just show up instantly. Luckily, our positive frequencies are much stronger than the negative ones. And we're naturally just going to have negative thoughts. But like when we can train our brains to really believe that everything that we want is coming to us, and we can really start to focus on that stuff that we want, that's what we are creating, and that's what's coming into existence. And you can kind of even think about it this way. It's like you're priming your brain to notice the things that are on your mind. So like if you ever like notice like a car that you really like, or a car, or something like that you feel like you would like to have, and then all of a sudden you start to notice it everywhere. Well, that's because like your brain is then like aware of it and it's seeking that out. So when you're thinking about the things that you want, your brain is then going to be primed to be alert to the opportunities that come up that are going to be aligned to help you get that desire, to achieve that goal. Your awareness is going to be on the things that you want. And so you're going to start to notice, you're going to start to see the good in your life if that's what you're focusing on. So stories and beliefs. We each see the world from our own unique perspective, and we carry stories that make up our beliefs, our values, and our thoughts about ourselves and others. You see life in a distinct way based on a lifetime of accumulated experiences and mental patterns. And a lot of these are learned beliefs, and sometimes we actually even have inherited beliefs. And so it's really important that we start to question everything. We start to question even the things that we believe to be true, the things that we learned as a child, the things that we were told, like, this is the right way, this is the wrong way. Question your authority figures, question your thoughts, because we have so many limiting beliefs that are ingrained in us. And of course, our stories and our experiences can be something that we can really use to our advantage and to help other people. But just being open to realize that, there is no right or wrong, that we are all just like learning and taking in life constantly. But a lot of the time, those limiting beliefs can end up holding us back. So we really want to start to question that, and just to be open to new ideas, new perspectives, new possibilities. And so my therapist, Amy Walsh, she shared this technique with me, or this like way to understand how my thoughts are really creating my reality. CTFAR. So think of your circumstances as neutral. They're neither good or bad. Whatever is your current situation, like don't worry about if it's good or bad. It's neutral. Now, it's your thoughts around those circumstances, or more specifically, what you believe to be true about them, that sparks your emotions. And it's your emotions that drive your behavior. Your behavior or the actions that you're taking are responsible for the life unfolding around you. It's the law of cause and effect. Every action causes a reaction. So this little funnel just kind of shows you how it's all kind of connected. So there are your circumstances, and then there are your thoughts around those circumstances. So those thoughts, when you think like, oh, this is like something, like really crappy. I wish this didn't happen. Why does this always happen to me? Those create these feelings that like make us just not feel very good. They make us feel negative. And so then the actions that we're taking are going to be a result of how we felt. Like maybe we feel like just sad and like just that you want to stay home and give up. And then like that's the result that you're going to get. You're not going to get anywhere because you didn't take that aligned action. Whereas like you can have the exact same circumstance and you can have the thought, well, oh, this time it didn't work out, but let me just keep trying because that like there's something better coming along. And when you have that thought or that belief about your circumstance, that cultivates good feelings. That cultivates positive feelings that encourage us to keep going. And if we're feeling good, we're going to have more energy to go out and take those actions that are creating the life that we really want to see manifest. So those are the kinds of results that we're going to get. So if you want to have good results, you got to have good thoughts. And it doesn't really matter what your circumstances are. The results, then once again, you get the results. Those are your circumstances. And they're neutral. And then you kind of start the process again. Whatever results you get, then it's up to you to choose how you want to think and feel about that and how you want to move forward. So we're on our first reflection question. Unless you want to count what would you create if you had a magic wand? Because we started out with that one and I didn't really give you like a ton of time to think about it because that was really more of like a rhetorical question and just something to kind of get your mind turning, the wheels turning, and to help you to see what we were kind of going to be talking about. But so now that we are here at our first reflection question, I want to remind you that you have the opportunity to pause and to take as much time as you need to reflect on this. And you're also welcome to just kind of think about it briefly, take a couple notes, and then come back to it later. You don't have to like sit and do this all at once. That's why I've created this class as a digital product so that you can really take your time with it. And then I can share it with as many people as possible without repeating all of this. And, like this is like a very personal process. This is different for everybody. Like you are going to take something completely different away from this than somebody else. And so I wanted to make sure that you have the time to work at your own pace. So take your time as we move through some of these reflection questions. But so our first one, what's going on around you? Can you see the relationship between your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions? What has happened as a result of the actions that you've taken over the past few months? Are you happy with your current circumstances? How do you feel about what's going on? And can you start to see a relationship between those thoughts, those feelings, those actions, and even those results? So think about that for a little bit. Go ahead and journal on it. Pause the video if you need to. And I'm just going to move on and continue on with the presentation. But like I said, just take your time. No rush. Take the driver's seat. You have the power to consciously create your reality by shifting your attention to positive thoughts aligned with your desires. The first step is to notice. Start paying attention to what you're thinking about, or if it's easier, start to notice how you're feeling. So if you're feeling bad, then shift your attention to a happy thought and just see how that affects your mood. Or even your behaviors. Like just start to notice how you're feeling affects how you're acting and then what comes of that. And take note of your thoughts and feelings throughout the day so that you can reflect back often and that you can really start to notice any patterns. So I started in my life to notice a pattern of burnout. I started to notice that I would just be like super energized and excited about something. And I would be able to start this new project with so much zest and enthusiasm. But then I would just wind up feeling like so drained and burnt out. And I thought, what the heck? Why does this keep happening? And so once I really started to take note of that, to track what it was, to reflect on what it was that was causing me to feel so drained, I was able to start to take aligned action to make a shift. And that's why I want you to start to pay attention. That is the first step, awareness, just starting to be a little bit more aware of yourself, of your actions, of your thoughts, of your mood, of everything, just awareness. And a fun little affirmation that you can say, I believe I took this one from The Secret as well. I am the master of my thoughts. I am the master of my thoughts. And affirmations are just such a fun little tool that you can call on at any point you start to notice yourself spiraling into one of those negative, just like not serving you thought patterns. If you have those affirmations in your back pocket to call on, you can just start to repeat that in your head and to kind of interrupt those thought patterns. So this is a really easy one. I am the master of my thoughts. I am the master of my thoughts. And that'll just help you to like start to be aware of what you're thinking about. Don't worry so much about it. Like, don't worry about like clearing your head or anything, clearing your thoughts. If you just start to notice and then let that pass, let it pass through you, then you can start to feel better and you'll start to shift your attention to whatever it is that you'd rather be thinking about, those more positive thoughts. The power of gratitude. So I definitely mentioned this a little earlier. I'm pretty sure I did. But the power of gratitude is just so strong. And this is what we really need to start to call in more abundance in our life. You have the power to control your thoughts and therefore to harness your emotions. So invoking a feeling of gratitude is going to be the easiest and quickest way to lift your mood. So when you're regularly and intentionally shifting your attention to positive thoughts, you're training your mind to be able to find the good in any situation. And like I said before, like gratitude, cultivating that feeling of being so grateful for everything that you have, feeling like what you have is enough. You're just emitting that frequency of having enough, of being full and abundant, and you're just going to be attracting more of that into your life. Acknowledging the good that you already have in your life is the foundation for all abundance. Eckhart Tolle. So he's somebody that I really like to listen to on like a Super Soul Sunday Oprah podcast. I've tried to read his books and they can be a little bit slow and dry, but like he's an awesome spiritual teacher. Highly recommend. Maybe try like listening to an audiobook or something, but we're all going to be different. Think different things are going to resonate with us. He's a great teacher. And I think I talked about, nope, not yet. We didn't get there yet. I was going to mention Deepak Chopra, who is like my favorite spiritual teacher, and one that I was introduced to at a very, very young age through my mom and all of the tapes and classes and things that she would take for personal development reasons. And so I've had the pleasure, and I'm just like really lucky to have been introduced to these kinds of teachings from such a young age. And I feel like that's really a part of, how this has been kind of naturally ingrained into me. And I haven't had to think so hard about it. And I just kind of trust it and know it to be true. But so anyway, you're going to resonate with different teachers, and you don't always have to take like every single thing that they say. But you can just take what works for you and leave the rest. And so same with this class, if there's anything that's just not resonating, skip it, toss it out the window, move on. And hopefully you find something valuable here, and something that resonates. And yeah, just keep that in mind with everything that you're learning. Any course that you're taking, any class, like I think we're often so obsessed with like, learning and seeking all of the answers. And like, especially for me as like going through this process as like a certified spiritual life coach, and dharma coach, I felt like I need to like memorize everything and I need to learn it all. But like you don't. Like, your own experiences are the most valuable. Your own take on whatever it is that you learned is what's going to be the easiest for you to share with others and use in your own life. So just, once again, take what you want, leave the rest. Manifestation. Okay, so I know we've already been on the topic of manifestation for a while, but just seeing the word makes me excited. It's probably my favorite topic. And this is just a really simple way to show you the process. And we already kind of talked about the spider and, how it kind of works, but you are the creator of your reality. You are attracting what you're thinking about into your life. So 3 key steps to manifesting the life of your dreams are as follows: visualize, embody, surrender. And it's a cyclical process. So this is something like you don't just do it once. You're gonna like keep doing it over and over again to keep manifesting the things that you want. And so, number 1, visualize. When you're putting in your request to the universe, be crystal clear about what you want to manifest. So the more specific that you are, the better. And if you want, you can use my journaling prompts for joyful living to hone in on what's most important to you. That's something that you can find in my shop at shannonthegoodwitch.com. If you're on my email list, it's possible that I've already sent it to you for free. But if not, you can definitely find it there. It's only $11 and $7 from your purchase is donated. The rest pretty much goes to covering like the fee for using my online shop to like process the credit cards. I might make like $1. So thanks. Next, embody. Step 2, be the version of yourself that already has everything that you desire. What would you be doing with your spare time if you're already like you're envisioning this life and what you're calling in more of and what you really want? What are you doing with your time? Who are you hanging out with? Where are you hanging out? Who are you spending time with? What are you wearing? What does that version of you value most? What do you believe to be true? I just want you to like really start to think about all of those different areas of your life and get really crystal clear on what that looks like. And then I want you to start embodying the person that already has that. That is like a signal to the universe that you are like ready for it and you're calling it in. It's just, you're emitting that frequency. So the law of attraction, it's just being attracted to you. Like attracts like. And step 3, surrender. So the final step is really all about faith. Go with the flow. Be alert to the opportunities that are presenting themselves and do what feels right. So be patient and know that your prayers have already been answered. Trust that everything happening in the meantime, even the things that like don't feel like it's exactly what you wanted, just trust that it's leading you to the fulfillment of your desires. And often like, our minds are so limited in comparison to this like infinite, unbounded, expansive, creative potential, this like source power. And so our minds often can't even see that there's something better than what we're actually asking for. So if there's something that you're like manifesting and you feel like it's just like not happening, it's not coming to you, trust that there's something better coming along. And this is just another fun little affirmation that you can repeat if you're starting to feel anxious or you're feeling like, it's not working or, just if something's like not going to plan. I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. The universe is working for me. I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. The universe is working for me. Or you can say, everything is as it should be. The universe is working for me. Make it your own, whatever flows for you, whatever feels right. This is another way to just kind of shift your mind from spiraling out of control and for reminding you that it's all happening in divine timing, that it's all working and it's all happening exactly as it should be. Be patient. You must first have the knowledge of your power. Second, the courage to dare. And third, the faith to do. Charles Haanel, The Master Key System. This is another text. It's a very old, something that's like really tough to understand. I have really like, just taken my time with it. This is something that was introduced to me through The Secret. And it's really not like a book that you just read from cover to cover. It's written in a way that you're meant to like do each exercise. There are like 24 chapters, like one per week. And there are visualization, meditations, and things like that, actions that you could take to really like let it ingrain in you. And it's just like so powerful. This is what I used when I was in a really like tough period in my life as a news anchor right out of college. I felt like I was just so unhappy. I felt sick to my stomach most days. I was exhausted. I definitely wasn't the best version of myself. And I knew that I wanted to make a change. And so I was reading The Secret again, and I really started to like build that practice of meditation, and I made a vision board. And I just really used the techniques from this class or this book, this teaching. And it worked. Like, even though I feel like I still like didn't fully grasp the material or understand it, just taking my time with it really worked and really transformed my life. And that was when I felt the courage to take action, to quit that job, to leave behind what I went to school for and I studied for 4 years to get this degree in broadcast journalism, and to trust that it's okay. Like, I can let it go and I can move on, and there's something better for me. But once you know that you have this power, I think that's like what we're working on here in this class. This is hopefully going to give you the courage to do what feels right, to take that scary action, and to have the faith to really go for it, to do. Like, you are going to have to actually go out and take action. That is the biggest misconception of manifestation. You can't just sit and think about what you want and expect it all to happen. You have to be alert to the opportunities that are presenting themselves, to be alert to the signs that are showing up. And you have to take that action. You're going to have to do something, but like I said, it's going to feel good. It's going to feel easy, and only say yes to those opportunities that really feel aligned. And once you get used to tapping into your intuition and trusting your gut and acting from that inspired place, you are going to know exactly what to do in every moment. Just be present and don't overthink it. Just sometimes you just have to kind of go for it and take that inspired action, even if it isn't super crystal clear what it is that you're manifesting yet, or that vision. Do what feels right. And this is my friend Jeremy. I just had to add a picture of him in there because he just makes me smile. Smile. He's somebody who I really always look to for inspiration, and who I'm really proud of for taking that aligned and inspired action in his life. Even if he is in a place where he's like not feeling his best self, he always goes back to tapping into that highest version of himself. And so like leaning on these teachers and guides to help to remind him that he is so powerful and that he can do anything, and he always goes for it, and he's making really amazing things happen in his life. So love you, Germ. Okay, so we just talked about my manifestation process: visualize, embody, surrender. And so we really talked about how a huge part of manifestation is about taking aligned action towards your goals. And we can't just sit around visualizing and thinking about what we want, expecting that it's all just going to happen. Although that's a huge piece of the process, we really need to take aligned action. And that's why goal setting is something that can be really, really useful, but it's also something that can hold us back sometimes. And so I'm going to give a quick lesson on goal setting and my process for goal setting, and just a few things to keep in mind when you are setting goals and when you are coming up with a plan of action. I want to make sure that you have these really crystal clear intentions, but that you're also able to just go with the flow, and take those divine aligned opportunities when they appear. So to have a goal is to have a desire and the intention to do something about it. A really good goal involves purpose, intention, and action. That's why these three elements are really important. So aligned action. Manifestation and divine transformation take place when your purpose, your intentions, and your actions align. And so here I just shared a picture of Eureka Studio, which is one of my vacation rental properties in Pittsburgh, Mount Washington neighborhood. And I just wanted to share this picture because there is just so much value in having an intention, but kind of being okay with, the plans changing a little bit. I ended up having this, this goal to open a studio, and I was able to do it, but then it actually ended up not really being something sustainable to use as a photography studio. And so I kind of ended up allowing my intentions to change a little bit and my goal to change. And we instead decided to put this house that I had designed for photography onto Airbnb. So I did get a chance to renovate everything, decorate everything. I had a friend who also had lots of extra freedom that summer who helped me paint and put in new floors, and we had so much fun. And I did get a chance to use it for photography for that first few months after it was ready. But then we moved into 2021. All of those weddings that I had on my calendar the year before, were starting to pop up again. They were rescheduled into the following year. Our wedding was rescheduled into the following year. And so I ended up having a really booked calendar in 2021, and I didn't have that chance to use the studio in that way that I had expected. So we pivoted, and we actually ended up adding the studio to Airbnb, adding the house to Airbnb. And it's just turned into this really successful, super passive form of income. And so although it was an intention and a goal that I brought to life, the purpose behind it, the purpose to be able to share this space, to allow others to use it, actually, really kept me going. I wasn't defeated in that, I just created this thing and now I don't have the time to use it. Because my purpose was so strong, because my purpose was to create this space that I could share with others and other photographers and allow them to come in and use it, or other people visiting Pittsburgh to come in and stay, it actually ended up turning out even better than my mind could have ever really anticipated. And so this is why I think it is so important that we remember that purpose is such a key role in goal setting. And so I created just kind of a little visual representation here of how I want you to be working on your goal setting. I want you to really think about your purpose first, that mission statement, that really big idea or that big dream, how you want to feel. And, so my purpose in opening a studio was to have this really creative space that I could use to create, that I could welcome other people into to create, and to be able to share this space with people. And so then my intention sparked from there. The intention was to, turn this house that I found into a studio so that I could have this creative workspace that I could share with others. And so then I took action towards that. My actions stemmed from that original purpose, that intention. And then my action was to buy this house, was to then refurbish and remodel the house and to get it ready to be used as a photography studio. And now, what I really want to share, why I'm sharing this story, is that, a lot of the time, things don't really go to plan. Things happen that we don't expect exactly. And so those intentions can really change as we kind of take that action and as we start to evolve and as the circumstances of life change. And so purpose is really key. Purpose is going to provide direction when we're working towards a goal or a desired outcome. And so setting and checking in with our goals regularly gives us a way to evaluate our progress. But I want to make sure that you're not holding so tight to that specific intention or that specific desired outcome that you have when you're setting goals, that you really focus on your purpose. And I want you to think of your purpose as your North Star and allow your intentions to ebb and flow with the seasons of life. This is going to keep you on track and motivated even when the unexpected happens. And so just make sure that you are willing to pivot, to shift, and keep checking in with those goals and keep checking in with those intentions, but don't worry so much if, things don't go exactly to plan. I think it's pretty clear, especially after we've all gone through this global pandemic together, we realized that a lot of things don't go to plan. And so I had to, cancel my wedding and my honeymoon, or I guess I should just say cancel my honeymoon. We haven't rescheduled the trip to Rome or Italy that we wanted to take or that was already in the works. But we postponed our wedding and it all worked out for the better. But so I want to move on to the next slide here where I talk a little bit about inspired action. So the difference between aligned action and inspired action. So inspired action has a really clear purpose and you're taking action, but you might not have a crystal clear intention yet. So when that's the case, when you're not actually sure of where you're headed, but you still have this kind of strong purpose, I want you to just be able to trust your gut and go with the flow. So do what feels right. Inspired action is a really great place to start, but keep in mind that if you're not really in tune with your highest self, and you don't have that crystal clear vision yet for what you're actually trying to create with your action, you could be going really fast in the wrong direction. And just a quick example of that for me, when I started my videography business, and I started learning how to use my camera to take photos, and I was in this place where I was bartending, I was waitressing, and I was really able to share what I was up to. And I was starting to feel so passionate about this work that I was doing that I actually ended up turning my hobby into something that really started to drain me. So I was so passionate about it. I was so excited. I was talking about it all the time. And I was really opening myself up to clients and I wanted to build my portfolio. So I started just saying yes to every opportunity that came along. And I didn't have a really clear goal or vision for, creating a business. I was just kind of really working from inspired action. And so at the end of the day, I ended up really kind of burning myself out and draining myself by really immersing myself in this wedding industry that really kind of consumed my schedule for the next few years. And I didn't have a lot of freedom to continue to just bring my camera around for fun, to document my own life, to just take photos of my friends. And so that's why I just want to say be careful, because we can get so excited about something and we just start to take really fast action, which is awesome. It's great. I absolutely encourage you to do that because there's always going to be a learning experience. I just think that sometimes it could end up taking us a little bit longer and sometimes in a roundabout way to get to where we really wanted to go. And so that's why having a clear intention is really a smart idea, and to really make sure you're embodying all of those three elements: purpose, intention, and action. And so course correction. just a reminder, don't be afraid to reevaluate. This is your life after all, and you're in control. So if you ever find that a goal that you're working towards doesn't quite line up with your dreams or the feelings that you hope to manifest in your life, remember that it's okay to pivot. You are constantly growing and changing as a human being. So it only makes sense that your goals and your dreams will change along with you. And it's inevitable that some of the plans that you've made aren't going to work out. Some of them aren't going to be completely necessary. Some of them you're going to find just weren't actually aligned with that purpose or your dharma. So how are you ever going to figure that out if you don't take action? Don't worry, take action, take that inspired action. Just keep asking yourself what you want, why you want it. And when you find the answer, just make sure you're keeping that at the forefront of every decision you make, and you're going to be on the right path. You've probably heard the saying, a goal without a plan is just a wish, but I prefer to say a plan without a purpose is a waste of time. And so if you're somebody who sets a lot of resolutions, like say, at the beginning of a new year, you're kind of like a New Year's resolution kind of person. I often find that like when we set resolutions, we don't always follow through with them. It can be really hard to stick to. And I think a big reason is because by definition, a resolution is a firm decision to do or not to do something, the decision to take some kind of action. And so often I think that we're so focused on our actions themselves that we lose sight of why we made the decision to take those specific actions in the first place. So something like, I want to stop smoking. That is a resolution, the intention to take some sort of action. But if you don't have a really clear purpose for that, if your purpose, is something like, I want to be healthy. I want to make sure that I am strong and that I'm feeling really good. That purpose is what's going to really be our driving force. And that's going to allow us to keep going. And that's what's really going to help to make sure that we don't, kind of drift off and just forget about those resolutions. That's what's going to help us actually stick to them. But I also just want to say that like, this can also be kind of like what I ended up doing in my business. So for a little while, because I didn't have this crystal clear purpose of wanting to create more freedom in my life, and that's why I really wanted to start this business where I was the boss and I could create my own schedule, I started saying things like, I want to make sure I have this many weddings on my calendar so that I could leave this waitressing and bartending and nannying job. And those were all things that actually made me really happy and that gave me more freedom than I realized. They provided a lot of cash flow and I didn't have to think so hard about it. But I set these resolutions for my business. I want to make sure that I have this many weddings on the calendar. And I ended up really booking myself up and feeling really drained. And so making plans and sticking to them will certainly get you somewhere. But at the end of the day, when you arrive at your destination, are you actually going to be happier than when you started? And so that's why I think purpose is so important, getting really clear on our purpose before we start to make any goals or resolutions or taking any of these big drastic actions. Making sure that we have that really clear purpose behind everything that we're doing is going to keep us on the right track. And so that's why we want to really get clear about that and continue to check in and set goals. They are so valuable. And I'm a huge goal setter, but I've learned to be able to kind of release my attachment to those specific outcomes that I am kind of shooting for and just leaning more into that purpose behind it and realizing that there are always going to be so many different ways that I can actually achieve that purpose of feeling more fulfilled, feeling more free, feeling more alive and excited for everything that I'm doing. A quick reflection question for you. Can you think of an example from your life when you stuck to your resolutions or you followed through on a plan and you achieved this goal, but at the end of the day, when all was said and done, you felt really burnt out or unsatisfied and unsure of what to do next. And so, just one last reminder before we move on to the topic of dharma and purpose. Your goals aren't the end, they are simply a means to an end. So, don't wait until you've reached your destination or the one that you think that you're shooting for to celebrate. Enjoy life to the fullest. Relish in every little tiny victory. Every step you get a little closer to that dream life that you're creating, I want you to celebrate. And I also want you to remember to rest. Rest when you're tired. There's no rush. So take your time, hold tight to your purpose when the going gets tough, and look for the beauty in all of it, because there are going to be things that happen that don't align with your plans. And, if we stay open to all of the possibilities, if we can find the beauty and the good in those situations, and we can really focus on the silver linings, and we can ask, what lesson did we learn from this? Or maybe, what sign was the universe trying to send me here? Was it trying to redirect me? And we can actually end up finding that there was something way better than we ever could have imagined that was supposed to happen for us. So just keep that in mind. And we are going to move on to the topic of dharma. All right, next, discovering your dharma. So we've already talked about this quite a bit, and I have a feeling that you're starting to understand what dharma is and what it means to have a purpose. But I want to just talk a little bit about flow and how dharma equals flow, and why it's so important to live your dharma, and why that's actually the easiest and fastest way to manifest what you really want in your life, is by tapping in and tuning in and embodying your dharma to the fullest. You're going to be in flow, and everything is just going to work for you. So go ahead, close your eyes for a minute, take another couple of deep breaths, and just listen to this. Picture this. You're full of energy. You're bursting with ideas. You're so inspired that you can't wait to jump out of bed in the morning to get going. Everything seems to be effortlessly falling into place. It's as if you're seeing the world through a pair of rose-colored glasses. The food tastes better. The grass looks greener. You feel deeply connected to the world around you. Your relationships are flourishing. Your health is at its peak. You're overjoyed by a sense of purpose and enthusiasm for your work. Your heart is full, and you just can't help but smile. You're grateful for life and all its wonder. A sense of peace and harmony resonates deep within your soul. This is flow, and flow is bliss. Doing good feels good. When you're feeling good, it's a sign that you're in flow, also known as Kriya. This is a sign that you're on the right path. This is God's way of rewarding you so that you'll want to keep doing more good. So Kriya versus karma. I think that sometimes there's this idea that if we are doing something wrong or bad, that we're going to receive this like bad karma, or that the universe is punishing us. So that's why I wanted to just kind of talk a little bit about Kriya and karma, and what the difference is there. Kriya is kind of like that, like good karma that you think of. If you go and do something good, that you're going to get more good in return. And so, sometimes we just feel like everything is working out. We notice synchronicities and serendipitous coincidences in our daily lives. And this is called Kriya. This is flow. And it's an indication that we're in alignment with our dharma. On the other hand, there are times where it feels like everything is falling apart. Everything is going wrong. And we face one obstacle after another, and we run into roadblocks around every corner. These are signals that we receive from the universe that we're on the wrong path. This is what we call karma, and it's a signal that we're out of alignment with our dharma and that it's time to change course, or simply that there's something better that we haven't quite realized yet, or we haven't been able to see. There's a bigger picture for everything that's happening, that, everything is happening for a reason. And this is leading you to what is really meant to be and what is really aligned. So karma is not a way for the universe to punish us. This is just the universe's way to guide us, to keep us on track to living our dharma, to living our soul's purpose. So I wanted to share my favorite quote from my favorite book. When you want something, all the universe conspires to help you achieve it. This is from Paulo Coelho's book, The Alchemist. And The Alchemist is about a shepherd boy who's in search of a great treasure. And he faces challenges and hardships along his journey. And he's repeatedly forced to change course. But in the end, he learns to trust and follow the omens, or the language of the universe, to guide him through the darkest of nights. And ultimately, he's rewarded for trusting his intuition and holding tight to his purpose. And I hope that's not a spoiler there for anybody who hasn't read The Alchemist. It's a happy ending. But I would highly recommend, if you haven't read this book, to pick it up. It's such a good read for, even young readers. That's probably why I like it. I'm like not a super big fan of like long, lengthy texts with big words. This is a really easy, fun read. I can read it over and over again. So you'll love it. I hope you go and pick up a copy. And it's just really important to understand at the end of the day that the universe is always working for you. Even when it feels like everything is falling apart, do your best not to resist that. Just lean into it, learn from it, and always keep in mind that there's something better coming along. Oh, and I just added a quick photo of me and Al on our wedding day and our bridal party there, with the quote, "When you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you achieve it." So we used this as a quote in our wedding ceremony, and we actually had it like printed out around. But just a reminder that, even though we went through this experience where we had to postpone our wedding and we had to move it into a new year, and there were absolutely things about that process that were frustrating, it all ended up working out for the better. It turned out to be the best day. And I already shared the story about, all of the good that happened in that time period where we would have been dealing with our wedding and we would have been away for our honeymoon. We wouldn't have found what has turned into probably my favorite pastime. Decorating and cleaning my Airbnb in Mount Washington is just like my joy. And it feels so good to let other people come into that space and experience Pittsburgh, my city where I was born and raised, and to really just be able to give people that experience. So that's something that never would have happened if it weren't for COVID and it weren't for having to postpone our wedding. So it's so often that, things don't really go to plan and that things are out of our control, but it's really up to us to choose how we react to that, how we handle it, and how we move forward. And that so much good can come from just like being open to that experience and to going with the flow and just doing what feels right, what feels like it's the best next step. That's all we can do, is just continue to move forward and take that inspired action. You don't have to have like a super crystal clear plan. Often like plans, can actually distract us so much from what's out there that's actually better for us. If we're just so gung-ho on making a plan, we're actually just missing all of the opportunities that are like the signals that are coming from the universe. So don't get so caught up in that. Make sure that you have clear goals in mind, that you're really holding tight to your purpose, but you're not so wrapped up in everything going according to plan or happening in a certain order. It's all happening in divine timing. It's all happening for you. Think back to a time that you felt wildly energized, deeply satisfied, and effortlessly in harmony with the world around you. Where were you? What were you up to? Who were you with? So grab your journal and just take a minute to jot down some fond memories of a time that you just felt really good. You felt like everything was flowing. You were just noticing a lot of synchronicities popping up. You felt in flow. You felt aligned. And of course, take all the time you need for that. I'm just going to move right into the next question, something else to think about. Can you recall a time in your past when absolutely nothing went according to plan, but you rolled with the punches, you adapted, and things ended up working out for the better? What happened? What did you learn? Just take some time to write down some notes from that experience. And this is something like, I was mentioning with our wedding, maybe you went through something similar during COVID. How did some of those painful experiences, those challenges, those things that just, felt really hard in the moment, how did they actually end up working out in your favor? What did you learn? Or what can you maybe learn from that now? Maybe you still are going through something that feels like a challenge. What can you learn? Everything is a learning experience. Everything is an opportunity for growth and for reflection. So take your time with these. All right, I'm going to move on to a quote from Sahara Rose. So I had to mention Sahara because she is the creator of the Dharma Coaching Institute, and we have a few other coaches in there, lead coaches, but she is one of the founders, and you'll definitely want to follow her at I Am Sahara Rose. If you love this, you'll love her. You will love everything that she's sharing about Dharma and flow and just being the highest version of yourself. She also has a podcast called the Highest Self Podcast, and highly recommend. It is so good. And she talks about so many different topics. She keeps spirituality really light and really fun. So check her out. But she says, living your soul's purpose is a decision, not a fate. So every person on the planet is born with a unique purpose. And it's really just up to you, though, to embody that. You add value to the world simply by existing, but living your Dharma is about choosing to embody your highest self so that you can show up and serve others in a way that feels fun, easy, and rewarding. Demand and supply. Deepak, he's finally here. Yay. So Deepak Chopra is my number one spiritual teacher from being a very, very young child. He's always been involved in my life. And another book that I highly recommend is Creating Affluence. And I also wanted to mention Sahara's book, Discover Your Dharma. It's why I was attracted to her and drawn to her in the first place. Deepak Chopra actually wrote the foreword to her book, and she has like some really great stories, manifestation stories about him and how that connection came to be. You can find for sure on her podcast somewhere, and definitely hear about it in her book, Discover Your Dharma. But anyway, Creating Affluence is just a super short, quick little read. It's really easy to get through. And if you listen to it on Audible, it's only like 50 minutes or something, maybe 55. It's just under an hour. So go ahead and download that. It's super digestible and just like always a really great reminder. But you are so needed. Whatever service that you're here to give, there is a demand for it. So in his book, Creating Affluence, Deepak Chopra calls it the law of demand and supply. And this is something that's like a marketing term too. This is like demand and supply is something like used in commerce, but the answers are within you. Ask yourself, how may I serve? How can I help? And, when you find those answers, you'll also see that there is a demand for your service. So take a moment here to tap into your superpowers. What are you innately good at without training or explanation? What are your natural born gifts? What can you do in your sleep? When people compliment you, what do they say? When they come to you for help or advice, what are they asking you about? These superpowers are often tied in with our Dharma, how we can help people. how we can help people with our natural gifts without really having to try so hard. So I want you to take some time to think about that. What is it that makes you unique? What is just so natural for you? One of your superpowers. I guess I can share one of mine. I would just say, like, just so that you know, it doesn't have to be like a skill or something. Like, I used to feel like my photography was like, one of these superpowers, but no, that's just like a medium that flows through you. That's a skill. Your superpowers are more so just those things that make you you. So for me, one of my superpowers is just being able to see the good in everything, to see the positive in even the worst situations, to see good in people, even people that, maybe are deemed by society as bad or like they're doing something wrong. I'm always able to find the good and the beauty and the light and the love inside of those people and those situations. And so that's one of my superpowers. So what is something like that? Something about you that's just so effortless, that's so natural, that, it's not related to something that you can necessarily do in like the physical realm. But yeah, it's just something that like feels very easy to you, and that maybe sometimes people recognize in you and you don't even see it in yourself. What are they complimenting you on? Also, an indication that we're in alignment with our dharma, or a way that we can start to think about how we want to embody that right now, because the way we embody our dharma is going to change, it's going to shift, it's going to evolve. But a way that we can choose to embody it now is by following the things that are really exciting us, that are, igniting that like curiosity inside of us. So what excites you? What lights you up? What turns you on? What inspires you? What fills you with so much energy that you just can't contain it? What could you spend hours doing just for fun? What do you do that leaves you feeling really, really good? So I want you to think about this as a way to just start to like tune into where you are in your life now. And maybe you're feeling like you're at a place where you're not excited about anything, and that's okay. I've been there too. Like maybe you're just so consumed or distracted by the life that's happening around you that you've been so just caught up in whatever else that you feel like is this obligation or this responsibility that you have, and you've kind of lost touch with those things that just make you like feel really excited and kind of childlike. And so these are some of the things that we talked about earlier when we talked about intuition and how to tap into that. So like painting or doing some like arts and crafts, or just playing in nature, putting your feet in the grass. Like a lot of the time, those things that we do when we're kids, we lose touch with. And so maybe you look back to like what excited you when you were little. And of course these things are going to change, but like, it's so funny. I think back and I always loved to dance, and I always loved magic, and I always loved like being a cheerleader. That was just so much fun. And so it's really cool to think now about how all of that really kind of like is still there inside of me, and that I'm able to use that now as a way to fulfill my dharma. All right, our next reflection, and this is something that we've already kind of thought about a little bit. But what obstacles have you overcome? What problems are you solving for yourself or for other people? What lessons have you learned through hardship that maybe you could share to help other people who might be dealing with a similar experience? And this is another, place where often we can see our dharma or our purpose starting to form, or that relates to our dharma. A lot of the time, the challenges that we face, they happen for a reason. They happen because we're meant to help people to overcome those challenges. And so that's just something that I want you to remember in those moments, in those challenging situations. How can you use this as a lesson, not only to learn for yourself, but then also to be able to share and help somebody else? So often there are things about us that we maybe feel a little bit uncomfortable sharing with certain people. We might have some uncomfortable truths. So I often feel like some of those things can really be a signal, or they can be really related to our dharma, to what makes us unique. Uh, we shouldn't feel the need to hide anything about ourselves, but we do. We definitely get a little bit worried that we're going to be judged, that maybe we're going to get in trouble for something. So I want you to reflect a little bit. Who are you when no one is watching? When your guard is down and you have full permission to be 100% you. And think about, like, maybe there is somebody like your best friend or your partner that you feel like you can just be 100% yourself around, or that brings out the best in you, that brings out that spirit. So think about that version of yourself when you're just being completely yourself, not afraid of what anybody thinks, or you just feel like maybe there isn't anybody watching, so you're free and comfortable to just be in your skin and be yourself. Go ahead and list out a few uncomfortable truths about yourself. And these might be things that, like, you might just feel embarrassed to share with others out of the fear of being judged. Like I was saying, maybe like you don't want your parents to know this about you, or you don't want your boss to know this about you, or you just feel like you have to be this like zipped up professional version of yourself. So who are you when you have full permission to be yourself? And just maybe think a little bit about how that makes you unique and how you can actually lean into that, and when you can really embody that and be yourself all the time, when you feel so good and you feel so comfortable and you're not worried about what other people think, how that really lifts your spirits, how much better you feel when you are able to just be free and fully express yourself. So for me, I would say that, like, I love to just like sing and dance. And, sometimes when you're out in the world, like, you don't feel like you can just skip and hop around, or the people will think you're crazy. But that's something that makes me really unique. That makes me me. And it makes me feel really good to be able to express myself like that. And so I'm trying to let my guard down a little bit. And I think that, like, as a photographer, that's been something that's really been able to help me in making other people feel really comfortable in front of the camera, is that I can be silly, I can be goofy, and I'm not really afraid to make a fool of myself, so that then they feel like they can really be themselves. And so I'm trying to embody that now as a coach as well. And that's why I don't want to take this role as a coach and allow that to make me feel like I need to be a more professional version of myself as a teacher. I really want to be fun and bring that fun side to spirituality, and to make you realize that we don't have to take life so seriously, that all of these things, these big dreams and these goals, like, if we can just be lighthearted and we can, laugh at ourselves when things don't go right, and we don't worry so much about like failing or how we're going to look, we can just show up vulnerably, that's when the magic happens. And of course, I had to share this quote from Brené Brown. Vulnerability is the source of creativity. So she is another person that I recommend to look up, a really amazing speaker and teacher and writer. And she has a podcast as well. But I shared this little picture here that I painted with my iPad. And so right now I'm working on something that's like, just kind of like a new passion. I've been writing a lot of poetry, and a lot of that poetry is just like from my journal, from this place where it's like just me with my thoughts. And I'm feeling really called to share my poetry along with my artwork. And it can be really scary to allow ourselves to like share some of those like really secret or personal thoughts or feelings or emotions. But that's where art comes from. Like when we're able to take that pain or maybe this just like intimate detail of our lives and we can turn that into something beautiful and we can allow ourselves to just like express that, that's where art comes from. And like just think about music or a painting. Like a lot of the time, the people who created these songs or this, this artwork, they might have been in a position where like they were feeling, really sad or depressed, but they turned that sadness into something beautiful. And so that's why I want to remind us that, vulnerability is the source of creativity, and that we have to just show up authentically and dare to live greatly. So it's really not always easy putting myself out there, but I know that reaching my full creative potential requires opening myself up to the risk of judgment, the risk of failure. But, despite the fact that most of the time I feel like I actually have no real sense of what I'm doing, I strive to show up bravely as myself, imperfectly as myself, choosing to look fear in the face and say that I'm going for it anyway. All I really know is that sharing my gifts with the world feels good. So that's what I strive to do. And, I'm showing up vulnerably here to share this course with you. And I am really trying to let go of these kind of perfectionist tendencies that I have. That is a big reason why it's taken me so long to get this out into the world. I've been worried about making sure that it's perfect. And so I've really had to work on releasing that and being okay with just to show up with what I have now and trust that that is good enough and that I can always go back. I can always learn more. I can always learn from whatever it is that I'm sharing, but I have to put it out there at some point if I want to make a difference in somebody else's life. And it's really not doing anyone any good by keeping this on my computer, just like saved for me. It definitely is helpful for me to be able to look back on all of these thoughts that are coming through so that I can continue to learn and teach myself. But I know that there is just so much potential in sharing this, and I really want to help people with this information. And so even though it can be really terrifying, and it can never feel like it's, time or that it's the perfect moment, but just to trust that like putting yourself out there is going to work out, and that it's okay if it's not perfect. It's okay if there are things that you want to change later, but just show up with what you've got and do your best in every moment to be yourself, and to keep sharing your gifts with the world. All right, so now we're going to talk about the Good Life Ferris wheel. I showed you this chart at the very beginning and briefly touched on it, but now we're going to move into a little bit more about why I call it the Good Life Ferris wheel. I want you to think of life like a carnival. So you go to this carnival, this festival, and it's so busy. It's so noisy. There's so much going on. You could be over here getting cotton candy or popcorn or a hot dog, or you could go and play the games, or you could be like hanging out with your friends or in the fun house or watching some kind of a show or something. I like to think of dharma or manifestation. We've been talking about how this is a choice, how we have to kind of take action. So maybe you choose to step away from all the noise and you want to gain higher perspective, like escape a little bit, get some higher ground. And so you decide to go on to the Ferris wheel. And not that the whole carnival isn't super fun, but like you're like, oh, I'm going to go on this Ferris wheel. And it's actually like kind of scary. Maybe you're afraid of heights, but you decide to get on the Ferris wheel anyway. And so at the very bottom of the Ferris wheel, where you would get on, you choose to dance, you choose to live, you choose to just celebrate and do that thing that feels right at the carnival. You go on this ride and you have fun in the Ferris wheel. So that is our dance phase, the full moon phase, the summer phase, the ovulation phase, if you are, a menstruator. So when you hop on the Ferris wheel, you're dancing, you're living. And so then as the Ferris wheel takes off and you start to go up and around, that is where you start to detach. You detach from everybody else that's down there at the carnival. Life is the carnival, and you choose to get on this Ferris wheel and you detach a little bit from everything else that's going on down there. And you step away from that season of just having fun and being playful, and you go on this journey. And so as you're rising up, you get to the top of the Ferris wheel and you gain this higher perspective. You have more clarity. It's quieter up there, and you're taking that time to step away and to dream and to receive that divine guidance and to rest a little bit. And so that at the top of the Ferris wheel is the new moon, the dark moon phase, or what I like to call the dream phase, or our winter season, our break from everybody else. And a lot of the time when we're away from our community, we're away from all of those people and the noise of social media and just the hectic chaos of life, we can really start to receive that divine guidance. And so it's so important to step away and to slow down. And then as we start to come back down and around, we can really picture this as that waxing moon stage. And we have this devotion, this purpose, this reason for moving forward. And it's easy. That action is easy because we're on the downswing. We're woo, coming down the Ferris wheel or the roller coaster or whatever. You feel light, you feel easy, and you have that momentum because you chose to step away, to rest, to refill your cup. And then you have that higher perspective. You receive those divine downloads. And then you choose to plant those seeds, and it feels really easy and effortless because you have so much purpose. And you take this spring season to then devote to putting in that work, taking that aligned action, and bringing your dreams to life, the ones that came through when you stepped away and when you really tuned into your intuition. And so then you come back down and you do it all over again if you want. You stay on that Ferris wheel as many times as you need to gain that clarity, to gain that perspective. But when you're ready, you can hop off the Ferris wheel and go back to the carnival and to start just living and dancing and enjoying life and sharing your gifts and sharing that guidance and celebrating what you've achieved and what you've come to realize and what you've learned through that process. And anytime you need to just do another little check-in, you can come back to the Ferris wheel and you can hop on and you can ride that ride and just enjoy it, enjoy the ride, and take a minute to step away from everything else and to tune in to yourself. So that's where the symbolism of the Ferris wheel comes from. I hope that makes some sense and helps you to kind of see that routine, that picture. And you can always hop off of the Ferris wheel at any time and enjoy life and everything that's happening around you. Enjoy the carnival, have fun, take a break. Don't worry so much about your dharma or your purpose or helping everybody. Just be yourself, enjoy that season. And then whenever you need some time, if you start to, feel a little low on energy, if you feel a little lost, go back to that Ferris wheel and the phases of the moon or this ritual to guide you in moving forward. And I really want you to fall in love with the process. This is something that you're going to do over and over and over again. It's not a one-time thing. And I also just wanted to mention my mom again and another one of my favorite podcast hosts, Jay Shetty, and a reason why, I chose the word dance for the very first phase of this process of my manifestation process and my ritual. So I'm an avid listener of the Jay Shetty podcast on purpose. And if you know it, you know that at the end he does like rapid fire questions. And one of the questions that he usually asks is, what's the best advice that you ever received? And I would have to say that the best advice that I've received was from my mom. And I received it through our song. And our song that we actually danced to at my wedding is I Hope You Dance by Leanne Womack. And it pretty much sums it up. I'm not going to read the entire thing here, but like I put the lyrics in, and there's also a link so that you can go and watch the music video and listen to the song. It's one that really just makes me feel so inspired and gets the juices flowing. But this, to sum it up, I Hope You Dance is really just about taking those opportunities. If you have the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. And my mom has always just encouraged me to live life, to dance, to have fun, and to take those opportunities that are showing up. You don't want to be the person that's at the wedding just like sitting and watching everybody dance. You want to be out there dancing and having fun and living your life to the fullest and enjoying it. When we can celebrate all the good in our lives and all the good that we're doing, we're going to feel fulfilled, and we're going to feel excited, and we're just going to feel so grateful and ready to take action and to give that back and to pay it forward. So dance, phase 1, to move one's body rhythmically, usually to music, to perform or take part in as a dancer. And I had to put this picture of my mom because she's so cute. This was us dancing at my wedding. So there's a rhythm to everything. And when you sync up with the natural rhythm of life, you'll flow in perfect harmony with universal laws of nature. Another reason for this symbolism is because, you're about to embark on a journey of divine transformation. Stepping into your dharma is no little thing. This is a big journey. You're here right now because you want to make some kind of a change in your life. You want to see growth. You want to do more good. You want to feel better. You want to feel more magical. And so before you close this chapter, before you close the door on this chapter and step forward into the unknown, I want you to find what you love about this season of life and soak it up. Enjoy the heck out of it. Let loose and find meaning and humor in every situation. Magic trick. A full moon is a perfect time to pour up some heart-opening cacao and relax into your body. So go to an ecstatic dance, gather with your loved ones, dance, celebrate, give thanks for this precious moment and all that's brought you here. This could be your last day. Just like live it to the fullest. Dance. And this isn't like one of the main 4 categories or 4 phases, but I have a few other steps in here or words that I wanted to just bring up that can give you like kind of an association of how this process works, how this manifestation and dharma process works. So devour, to eat up ravenously, to enjoy avidly. So take that full moon energy into the first few days of the waning moon and dig in. Indulge in every decadent, delicious, delectable piece of the divine life unfolding before you. I want you to seize the day. Take inspired action and say yes to the opportunities that feel aligned. Tomorrow isn't promised. Eat like it's your last meal, dance like no one is watching, and take what's meant for you today. Don't worry about saving some for later. Feast, savor, and share what you've got with the people that you love. And once again, another little magic trick I had to re-highlight. The simplest way to attract anything and everything that you desire is choosing to see that what you already have in front of you is enough. Gratitude is key. Give thanks and relish in the simple pleasures of life. And before we move away from this slide, I just want to thank my friend and my coach, Eva Lynn Douglas on Instagram. She is somebody who really inspires me and has really helped me to slow down especially as a business owner, and to really allow myself to take those breaks when I need to. And I found her because I was starting to share these ideas and this desire to start teaching and to start sharing what I've learned to be true about the law of attraction and manifestation and goal setting and having purpose. And so this is just an example of how, when we're sharing our gifts and when we're speaking up about what we believe in, how we attract other like-minded people who can then lift us up and amplify our message. So my friend Mac, who is also here in this photo, did this beautiful design. She linked me up with Eva and we hit it off. And then this is just a photo from a celebration that we had at the end of a mastermind that Eva held. And she brought us together, this lovely group of women, to, share her gifts with us and her experience, and to teach us and to just remind us to celebrate. And it was just so nice coming together for this moment at the end of a couple of months that we just met virtually during COVID. And yes, that was just like a shout out to Eva and a shout out to Mac and to Carmen and to Maddie, who are also in this photo, and Monica, who is not pictured. She was in Canada, so she couldn't be there. But I just want to reiterate how important it is to surround yourself with people who remind you of who you are, people who lift you up, people who inspire you to keep going, and how when we can really come together as a community and we can lean on each other and we can share what we know and what we have experienced and what we're feeling, that is so powerful. That's so magical. And, we don't want to keep our gifts to ourselves. We have to share them. And it's just going to create a ripple effect of positive change. So continue to share your gifts, continue to talk about what you believe in, because that's how you're going to attract the right kinds of people to you, the people who you really just love to be around, and the people that you can continue to learn from. So thank you so much, Eva, for bringing us all together. And thank you, Mac, for introducing us. Detach, phase 2. To separate, especially from a larger mass, and usually without violence or damage. So this is like you're on the Ferris wheel and you're stepping away from life, from the carnival for a little while. Spend a period of time away from your community, especially if you're coming out of a busy season or a summer season. Do a digital detox. Step away from your daily responsibilities and give yourself permission to go MIA for a little while. It's so important to make time to get quiet and check in with your higher self. And your intuition is always speaking to you, but often the noise of our surroundings has a way of drowning that out. So we need to step away, to detach and take that time for ourselves. And remember that it's okay to say no. You don't have to accept every invitation. And I know that can be really hard, especially if like our friends or our loved ones who we want to spend time with invite us to do something. If you're in that season where you're feeling tired and like you need to slow down and you need to step away, it's okay to say no, because then the next time they invite you, you're going to come back feeling really recharged and ready to enjoy that experience to the fullest. And this isn't just about like life and fun. This is with like work too. Like if you're somebody like me who's an entrepreneur, it can be really easy to just like say yes to every inquiry that comes in. But it wasn't until I really started to like get super clear on my values and, what I wanted that dream life to look like, that I was able to start to feel confident in saying no, and to passing along all of the other recommendations that I have for other vendors who can help them, because I just wasn't in a season to say yes. And in being comfortable with doing that and saying no more often, and in just honoring my body and my needs and my desire to slow down and to stay home, or just to not feel like I have to have an excuse to say no, just to say no because I'm tired this time, or that's not aligned with where I am in this season. You can lovingly decline the opportunities that are coming to you so that when the right opportunities come, you will be ready and open to take them. So, is there something that's in your day-to-day that's leaving you feeling drained or burnout? This is just something I want you to think about a little bit. What's eating up your time and energy? What or who might be holding you back or standing in your way from embodying your dharma? And a lot of the time, I think that we don't even realize how many things that we're doing in our day, like how many things are on our to-do list, how many things that we always feel like we need to get done. So what is it? What's something that's on your to-do list that is just like something that you don't really want to be doing, that's just leaving you feeling really tired? Or maybe it's a person. Maybe there's somebody in your life who's kind of holding you back. And so this brings us to another little word that I wanted to share to help you to kind of understand how you can move through this cycle. Delegate. To entrust to another, to assign responsibility or authority, to appoint as one's representative. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. If you're coming up with plans to accomplish these really big aspirations all on your own, you are bound to hit a point where you begin to feel overwhelmed or stuck. So in these kinds of situations, in these moments, it's okay. It's more than okay. It's kind of necessary to sometimes entrust another person or even a form of technology to assist you in getting to your destination and getting the job done. So reach out to your community and recruit a team of people to help you bring your dreams to life. I mentioned at the beginning of this course a thank you to my website and brand designer, Aisha. It was such a weight off of my shoulders to not have to sit and worry about creating this website that looks beautiful. And even though there are so many systems that we can use that allow us to do those things on our own, even if you're not a professional or that's not your trade. I made my own website for years as a photographer, videographer, but in starting this new endeavor as a coach, I really just wanted to make sure that I didn't have to sit and worry and make all of those decisions. And I wanted to be able to free myself up to tune into my highest self, to create this kind of content. And so being able to outsource that and entrust that to somebody else was something so helpful. And that just freed me up to be able to create a course like this. So where can you delegate some of your responsibilities? Where can you start to ask for help? And sometimes it's even just like automating something. Like, there are so many ways that we can, just use technology to help and assist us these days. So like if you're somebody who feels like social media is kind of overwhelming, but you still really want to use it for your brand or for your business, you can schedule those posts when you're feeling like you're in a mood where you have something to say and you want to create it, but like you can make a bunch of posts at one time. Schedule a few for later so that like they keep going out consistently without really having to worry about it. You can also just like start to like think about the littler things in your day-to-day life. Like, do you have time to like scrub your house and keep it clean? Like maybe you hire somebody who's a professional that can come in and do that really easily to give yourself those extra couple of hours with your family or your loved ones on the weekend. Maybe you start to order your groceries. And, my husband, Alex, he's an accountant, and he always used to say like, well, why pay for something when you can do it yourself? And so I kind of listened to that for a while. But then I just got like to a point where I felt like, you know what, my time is so valuable. It's worthwhile to pay somebody to do this thing that's not my superpower, that's just not serving me. It's not the best use of my energy right now. And give that to somebody who maybe that is their dharma. Maybe that is what they love to do, and let them help you. Let them share their natural gifts with you. And often they're doing it so much more quickly than we are because they're a professional. This is their dharma. This is aligned with their gifts. And so it's just saving time for everybody. And, you're helping them, they're helping you. It's like a never ending cycle, and it just keeps going. And this is how we grow. And this is how we work together as a community. So you can use this action priority matrix here to figure out what's really important. And I have to thank my very first business coach that I ever hired, Danielle Slagle. This is a tool that I got from her. So use this chart when you're feeling overwhelmed by a growing to-do list, and you can consider which tasks take priority and which might not be so important at the moment. So you have a column for not so important and a column for important. And so first of all, just write a list of everything that you're doing in a day. And then you can start to pull from those lists and like filter it into one of these little squares so that you can see what's something that I should do right away. This is like going to be a good use of my time. Getting it off the calendar, checking it off of the list is going to be really helpful, really productive. Then there's something that maybe you plan to do ASAP. It's not like priority right now, but it's something that you want to get done. And then there's another spot for some of the things that just aren't so important. Maybe those are the ones that you can delegate first, that you can start to ask for help with first. Or there's going to be some things that you see on that list that just aren't necessary at all. So can you dump those all together, or maybe just postpone them for a time way down the road when you have more time to get back to it later? Know your values. So as humans, we're constantly faced with difficult decisions. When you find yourself at a fork in the road, look to your core values for guidance. If you know what's really important to you, then your decisions are going to come easily. You can prepare yourself for the never-ending series of choices that you'll have to make as the creator of your life by knowing your values and sticking to them. So what are your top 3 core values? And these are some examples: love, service, freedom, fun, family, truth, beauty, peace, comfort, health, education, equality, creativity, expansion, joy, ease. So for me right now in this season of life, I would have to say that freedom, fun, ease, and love are my top values. And so when I can keep that in mind, I can start to kind of reflect a little bit when I'm faced with a decision. Is this something that's going to be fun? If not, maybe I can say no for now. Is this something that's going to impact my freedom? Is it going to kind of like keep me contained in a way that like isn't going to feel really great? Right now, freedom is so important to me, and I'm really enjoying this ability to work remotely. I mentioned I'm in Hawaii recording this right now for an entire month. And like, that is something that was so not feasible for me before, because I was, filling up my calendar with all of these events and things that I needed to do and places that I needed to be. And, I had so many responsibilities. And so if something right now comes up that isn't aligned, isn't allowing me to keep this sense of freedom that I have, that I've created, that I've worked really hard to create, then that's going to be an easier way for me to just say no, to politely turn it down for now. Am I doing this out of a place of love or obligation? So if love is one of your core values, like you can ask yourself that, am I doing this out of a loving place, or is this just something I feel like I kind of have to do, or I have this responsibility? And ease, ease for sure right now is just probably my go-to when I'm thinking about any decision, any path that I want to take. Is this going to feel easy? Is it going to feel hard? And not that we never like have to do hard things, or that it's all going to feel we never have to work when we're doing our dharma. We're definitely going to have to put in the work. But what path can I take that's going to make it feel really easy? What can I do that feels like, like recording this? Like, it's not that I didn't have to overcome some challenges to get here or put in some work, but it's felt really easy to talk about all of this because this is what lights me up. This is what sparks that just creative purpose and drive inside of me that allows me to keep going and to keep creating. And it feels easy. Even though it's work, it feels easy. So know your values. Phase 3, dream. To pass time in reverie or in action. To have a series of thoughts, images, or emotions while sleeping. These are just definitions like straight from Google. And I just like to put in the definition of these words to help give you like a clearer picture of what I mean by sharing this process with you. Or as a noun, dream means something notable for its beauty, excellence, or enjoyable quality, a strongly desired goal or purpose, something that fully satisfies a wish. So I just wanted to add in this little graphic of my Good Life Ferris wheel manifestation process here with the phases of the moon. Just to remind you that during the new moon, during that beginning of a new lunar cycle, that the moon is dark in the sky. And that is just such a good reminder to slow down and to lean into that darkness. And that's really why I wanted to call this phase the dream phase, because I want to really just invoke that symbolism of dreaming, of sleeping, of hibernating, but of also to just allowing yourself to dream big and to think these thoughts and to allow those divine, intuitive downloads to come through, and to then move forward with the moon as it's growing again to start to plant those seeds and to start really designing and bringing that dream to life. So opposite of the full moon in that dance phase is the dream phase. And this is when the moon is dark. So just a quick little visual reminder there of what this process looks like. And so I mentioned that dream phase. You can kind of think about it as your like winter season, your time to slow down, your time to go inward. And I always find that when I do make that time to rest, when I am feeling like I'm just a little bit detached from everybody else, and I'm in that place, that safe space to just really dream and to open up my mind and my soul and to tune in, I get a lot of divine downloads. So download, to transfer data files, etc., from one location, such as a large computer or the cloud, to another, such as a smaller computer, smartphone, or storage device. So I like to call my inspired ideas divine downloads. Once you've created space to step away, to rest, to reconnect with your intuitive body, you're bound to feel enlightened and to be full of inspired ideas. So keep a journal nearby for an easy place to store your downloads the moment that they come through. Don't edit yourself, just honor the flow. You'll have a chance to go back and refine your ideas in the next phase of the practice. But this is just a reminder to just tune in, to tap in. And like I said, like this course, this is all like, this is like, you know, it's not that these aren't my ideas, but it's like they came through me. I didn't like come up with this stuff myself. Like they came through me from source. These ideas were implanted in me so that I could bring them to life and I could move them through my chakras and through my energy system and like birth them into existence. So brain dumping. I learned this from Jenna Kutcher, another one of my role models. So follow her. She's got a new book. She's got a podcast, the Goal Digger podcast. She's got tons of digital products and courses and things like that I stand by 100%. So highly recommend. But she told me about brain dumping. So I don't know about you, but I have got so much going on in my brain that I have a hard time keeping track of the days of the week. And I am completely dependent on my color-coded Google Calendar. I've learned that I have no choice but to schedule in and check off every single line item on my to-do list one by one if I ever intend to get something done. And I've come to realize that the exact same strategy works for my hopes and dreams. So if there's ever a time to write something down, it's the moment when that light bulb goes off and I'm suddenly hit between the eyes with an inspired idea. Inspiration can be so fleeting and it just comes and goes really quickly. The distractions of everyday life can just steal back our attention in the blink of an eye. And before we ever realize that our intuition was speaking to us, we just, find other distractions and we get caught up in everything else. So we've got to write it down. We've got to take note of it. Anything that makes us feel good, anything that just feels really inspired, take a moment to make a note of it. Give yourself a place to store those thoughts and dreams so that later, when you're searching for some inspiration, you've got a place to look. And just another tip, keep a journal, a Word document, or a note on your phone and jot down anything that brings you joy or sparks an enlightened idea. Okay, our next reflection question. When and where do you get your best ideas? Are you in the shower? Is it on your morning run, in the middle of the night? What is the easiest way for you to track those inspired ideas? Is it going to be a journal or Post-its, maybe a Google document, a voice memo, or a note on your phone? Just take a minute to think it through and come up with a strategy so that you're ready to capture that inspiration the moment it strikes. Our next little subcategory here under the dream phase, deliberate. So deliberate means to think about or discuss issues and decisions carefully. To think about deliberately and often with formal discussion before reaching a decision. So meditate on the following questions before you set your intentions with the new moon or with that, that next like spring season. What's exciting me right now? Where am I feeling called to go? What am I feeling called to do? Who is popping up on my radar? What's working for me and what hasn't been working so well? What am I calling in more of in my life? Why is it important to me? How do I feel at my best? And so this is something that you can just like look back to anytime you're kind of in that winter season, after you have some of those divine downloads that come through. I found that I have so many ideas that like aren't actually good ideas. Or at least they're not great ideas for the moment. They might just be coming through me and they're an idea that somebody else should bring to life. And so, you don't have to take action on every inspired idea that comes through, or at least not right now. So spend some time after those things come through, let them come through. Don't filter yourself. Go back later and reevaluate. Just think it through a little bit. You can ask yourself, or you can have a question, or have a brainstorming session with a friend, have a conversation about it. But these are just a few like journaling prompts or some questions that you can ask yourself before you start to set any intentions or take any actions moving forward on some of those inspired ideas. Design. To create, fashion, execute, or construct according to plan. To conceive and plan out in the mind. To intend or to have a purpose. To make a drawing, a pattern, or sketch of. To draw, lay out, or prepare a design. So I want you to have fun in this part of the process. Gather up some art supplies, tap into your inner child, and play. Be creative and colorfully bring your vision to life in tangible form. So I originally had like 12 steps of my process, and the reason that I narrowed it down to 4 was so that it would just be easier to kind of talk about as a whole. But really, there are like 12 steps to this process rather than just the dance, detach, dream, and devote. So design is really one of my favorite phases. This is just so much fun, and you don't actually have to do this in a way where you like get a bunch of art supplies out and map it out, but it's really fun. It's fun to make a vision board. It's fun to just like, maybe you're on Pinterest or something instead. There are a lot of different ways to do this, but this is just a way to get a really clear picture in your mind of what it is that you want, of that dream, of that vision. Because visualization is such a big part of the manifestation process. Visualize, embody, surrender. So get really clear on your vision before you start to take any big actions. When you are thinking big picture, when you're designing your dream life, I want you to make a mess and clean up later. There's no need to filter yourself when it comes to designing your life. You are the creator, and the possibilities are endless. They are limitless. So don't be afraid to dream big. Really, really big. You are a magician, and you do have that magic wand. You have the power to create absolutely anything for yourself. So what exactly do you envision for your life in a world where absolutely anything is possible? So our next reflection question: if you could create anything for your life over the next 5 years and money or time were unlimited, what would you create? I want you to think of all of the pillars of your life and be really specific. What do you see for your career, your relationships, your finances, your health, your home, your spirituality, an overall sense of happiness and well-being? And on the next slide here, I mapped out some abundance areas. So this gives you a way to maybe make a little vision board for each one. Sometimes we get so caught up in our career, or maybe it's our family or our love life, or maybe it's just our physical health. And then we kind of forget those other areas. So I want to make sure when you're creating this dream life, you can really start to think about all of those areas and how you can create an overall sense of wellness and happiness and balance. Make sure you're considering all of those different abundance areas when you're mapping out what that dream life looks like and feels like. Next reflection question. So visualize your dream day. What does it look like? So our lives are made up of days, right? So if you want a grand life, fill it with grand days. Take a moment to map out your perfect day from start to finish. Don't hold back, dream big, get creative, and have fun with this. And this is the purpose of this, is to just really start to focus on what it is that our day-to-day will look like in this dream life. Like, not just your weekend day, not just that tiny bit of vacation that you get, but the everyday. What does that look like? If anything is possible, what does your dream day look like? So when you're designing your dream life, remember that anything is possible. And I know that sometimes it doesn't feel like it. And just remember that those are those learned limiting beliefs. This is where that like scarcity mindset comes in. I want you to have an abundance mindset, a mindset that absolutely anything is possible, that there is enough for everyone, that there are infinite possibilities. And so I had to shout out my boo, my love partner, my spiritual partner, my husband, Alex. So he is just somebody who is inspiring me so much right now. And he of course, always has inspired me. But as I share this quote from Oprah, create the highest, grandest vision possible for your life, because you become what you believe. I am reminded of him. So he is a huge planner, more so than me. He's had our entire life mapped out. He's had his future mapped out since he was 10 years old. And he's been really good at being able to take the necessary action to achieve his goals. So from the time he was 10 years old, he started saving every penny that he could. He is an accountant, and he was just like a born money manifester. He loves just like making money, finding money, saving money. Like, he is a money master. And I used to feel like, why are you so worried about money all the time? And like, I am completely opposite. Like, I learned from my mom to just be generous and giving, and that there will always be enough, and not to worry, and just to be like, completely careless about it in some ways, which is also not a really good mentality to have. And so thank goodness I found Alex, and he's really given me that balance of being able to like not be worried or concerned about money, and to still be able to be generous, but to think about it more regularly, because just like anything else we're manifesting, the universe wants to know that we are ready for all of the gifts and the blessings that it is sending us. And so he does that by coming up with a really good plan and checking in with how much that he's spending and where that money is going so that he can feel and embody somebody who is really confident in their money and who's taking good care of it. And so that universal blessing, that energy has a place to flow and grow. And because he's so intentional and because he's always been a saver, he has been able to like invoke this feeling of always being secure, of knowing that he has enough, that he knows exactly how much his bills are going to be every single month and exactly how much he can spend going out so that he feels really confident. He's not worried at all about money because he's done such a good job of saving and planning that he knows that he's in a comfortable place. So this brings me to the reason that I am so proud of him right now. So during my training as a certified spiritual life coach and dharma coach, I had 6 months of training. And so he was really kind of my first client. I was really practicing my coaching with him. And so during this training, I was asking him lots of questions and we were really trying to visualize the future. And so his plan growing up, was always just to invest enough to save enough so that he could retire early. And early was like 45. And he couldn't really fathom a way to retire any earlier than that, based on the trajectory of how his life was playing out. He went to school to be an accountant because he had family members who were accountants and they seemed very successful. And so he thought, well, this is a really safe path and this is going to allow me to, have that security, to make enough money to pay my bills, to have some extra to play with, to have fun. And so he just continued working these accounting jobs. But he never really felt very fulfilled. He also didn't have a ton of freedom to actually use that money that he was making or saving for fun. Yes, of course, we would go on vacation, but he had very limited vacation. And there was even a portion of his career where he had only 10 days of vacation, but then he would actually have to work an extra 10 days on Saturdays during tax season as an accountant. And so that had a lot of, just a control around his life, and it didn't allow for a lot of freedom. And so he was always working on the side, doing all of these fun little things to make extra money, thrifting, reselling. He has an eBay business. He also just helps lots of friends with their businesses and helping them to get those businesses registered and doing their bookkeeping. And so he ended up getting this new job as a controller of a company, which sounded like this really awesome title. And it felt like it came with a lot of security. It was a raise from the job that he had actually been fired from. And so that was really also just kind of like a signal from the universe. You're not quite in alignment here with what you could be doing, what you're meant to be doing. So it actually worked out for the better. After he got fired from that job, he ended up finding this new job as controller. And he started off with a lot of excitement and feeling like he could really help this company with his gifts. And, he was at the end of the day, he ended up being kind of unsatisfied in this new role. He, had this potential to do more than he was actually being allowed to do in that space. And during that time, because he had this new role and all of these responsibilities, and he was going into the office and, including the commute, spending 11 hours a day working this job that really wasn't bringing him a lot of fulfillment, he actually had to start turning away a lot of those clients that were coming to him for help, these small businesses that he really wanted to help, these individuals that he really wanted to help with their personal finances. And that's really his gift. He is so gifted with numbers and with being able to make things that a lot of us feel like are really complicated and hard to understand, very easy to understand when it comes to money, when it comes to numbers and finances and saving and investing. And so what actually ended up happening, which I never, ever would have expected, was he decided to quit that job and to leave so that he could embark on this journey as an entrepreneur, so that he could really start to use his gifts to help as many people that he could, and so that he could be more fulfilled, and so that he could also have more freedom to travel and to explore and to spend time with me. And he sees a lot more exponential growth in the ability to do his own thing for a while and to invest in himself. And he, of course, has been able to do that and to make that decision because he has felt comfortable enough in his savings. I'm not just encouraging anybody to go out and quit their job because they see this potential to do something else. He already had a lot of these other forms of income that he'd created. He just felt like, wow, if I could put all of these hours that I'm putting into this unfulfilling job into all of these other forms of passive income, or, they're not all passive, but these other forms of income where I'm really feeling like I'm having fun, like I really feel like I'm helping people. What if I could put all of my time and energy into that? And it's working out really well so far. And I'm just really happy for him. And I'm just so grateful that he has done this for us. He really prioritized our relationship. He got really clear on his vision for the future. And he wanted to be able to spend more time with me and to travel and to explore and to be able to help people through sharing his knowledge of personal finance and accounting and investing. And so love you, Al. I'm so proud of you. And I just wanted to give you a little shout out there. And anyone who's taking this course, if you need any help with your finances, he is creating a digital course kind of like this one. It's going to be super affordable, super accessible. And it's really just talking about the basics of like financial planning and making sure that you can live comfortably and that you are secure, so that you can just not worry so much about that. And you can really start to use your gifts to help people. And so that is just an example of why it's so important to really ask yourself, what is my purpose? What is this vision that I'm, of my life that I really want to see in the future to come to life? And how can we take aligned action towards that? So that's why I just wanted to put him there next to this quote: create the highest, grandest vision possible for your life, because you become what you believe. And because he believed that there was this other possibility, he had the confidence to make that change. And it is going really well, and we're having so much fun together. And we never would have been able to leave Pittsburgh for the winter and come here and spend a month in Hawaii, 10 weeks away from home, actually, if he was going into the office every day. So this allows us to be remote. This allows us to make these digital courses and products that actually are really helping people and leaving us feel really fulfilled. So he realized that that was a better use of his time, and he started to take action in that way. Moving on to phase 4, the final phase of the process. And this one has a few subcategories as well. But just to really make sure that I was crystal clear about how important it is to have purpose, to have that passion for what it is that you're doing, so that you can keep going and that it feels easy and that it feels natural. That's why I chose the word devote for this spring phase, this waxing moon phase. And so devote, to commit by a solemn act, to give over or direct time, money, effort, etc. to a cause, enterprise, or activity. Remember your why. This phase of the ritual is meant to fuel you forward with energy and passion for your work. You've decided on a path and you're ready to embody your dharma. So, what's your mission? Who are you going to help as you step into alignment with your soul's purpose? How will this affect your community? These are things that I really want you to think about as you're taking action, as you're moving forward, because this is going to be your fuel. This is going to be your driving force. This is what's going to keep you going. And the most purpose-driven person that I know, I couldn't just put out this course without mentioning her and without just sharing what she is doing in the world to make a difference, and why I am so inspired by her, and why I've just seen that having a mission for your business is not only fulfilling, but it actually just, helps you to really keep going and to make a change in the world one person at a time. So I wanted to share this picture of my friend Erin and our friend CJ. So Erin, the owner of Blue Kangaroo Thrifts on Instagram. So go ahead and follow her to learn a little bit more about her business. But Erin has a reselling business, but it's really driven by her mission to help people. And she is somebody who I met during another kind of a coaching community experience. This was all online during COVID. And I just resonated with her so much. There was this group of maybe 20, 25 people on a Zoom call, and she just stood out to me so much. And I reached out and we connected over our desire to help people, to help vulnerable populations. And so something that she does and that I have done in the past as well, but she does this regularly and all the time. She puts together care packages for the homeless and she goes and passes them out. And so we had a little packing party at my studio, Eureka, and we created a bunch of like drawstring bags that were full of just supplies to pass out to anybody who might need help. And so we got together one day downtown Pittsburgh and we walked around to distribute those care packages. And there was a person that she remembered from just doing this another time. And we were able to track him down and find him, and his name is CJ, and he's the one here with Erin in this picture. So inside of these care packages were hats and gloves, and Erin also had a blanket. And so when we found CJ, we gave him these things, and he cried and said, "Thank you. You gave me warmth." And as we were walking away, he was singing and he was just so grateful. And this was just the most beautiful, touching experience. And it really just showed me how we can have these missions and these desires to change the world, but it really all starts with just one person. And when we can help one person, it just creates this ripple effect of positive change. And I'm just so grateful to have Erin as a friend, and to have shared that experience with her. And I'm so glad that she just really inspired me to go out and to just help the community one person at a time. You can change lives. So even though, I've always had this desire and this vision of kind of making a really giant impact in the world, sometimes that can actually hold us back from going out and doing good. And so when we can see that impact of how helping one person, even just one person, can really lift our spirits and make us feel good and make us feel encouraged to keep going. That is just so valuable when you have a desire to make a difference in the world, to make an impact, to live your dharma, to embody your dharma. In order to keep going, you have to have that clear purpose, that desire to help people, and that clear picture of who it is that you're going to help with your dream. with your gifts. And so this is just a reminder to be kind, be loving, and, just make sure that you're sharing your gifts with the world. It feels so good to do good. And I'm just so inspired by Erin and by people like her. And I'm very grateful to know her. And so this 7 layers deep exercise is something that you can use to really get to the bottom, to the core, to your why behind your goals. So if you have a goal or an intention, an aspiration, an aim, a desired outcome, whatever you want to call it, start with that. So what is it that you want? And so for an example, I want to leave my 9-to-5 job to start my own creative business as a photographer. Well, then next you're going to ask yourself, why is that important? Why is it important for me to leave my job and start my own business? And then you're just going to keep going with that. Well, because you want more freedom and flexibility and joy in your daily life, and photography makes you happy. Well, why is it important for you to have more freedom and joy and flexibility? Well, because I want to be available for my friends and family without feeling burnout or overextended. Well, why is it important for me to be available for my friends and family at my very best? Because I want to have the energy to support them and help them to overcome their obstacles. Well, why is it important for me to have energy and support them? Because I feel a deep sense of joy and fulfillment when I know my loved ones are happy and healthy. So why is it important for me to feel joyful and fulfilled? Well, because I'm my best self, and when I'm happy, my cup is full. Well, why is it important for you to be your best self and to have a full cup? Because when you're your best self, you're better able to show up and serve your community and create a ripple effect of positive change in the world. So essentially, you went from this kind of like surface level goal of wanting to leave your 9-to-5 job to start a business. And then you come to this final goal of, or this real sense of why, the sense of purpose. It is important for me to take this action because I want to be my best self so that I can show up and serve the people around me. And so I can create a ripple effect of positive change. And so once we know that that's actually our goal, that purpose down there at the bottom, we'll realize that there are actually so many ways that we can achieve that. And then that takes away a little bit of that attachment to the outcome that we have in that goal of seeing like, this is the exact path. I need to quit my job. I want to be able to start my own business. And sometimes that's not actually what you need to do to fulfill that purpose. You just really, at the end of the day, want to be your best self. You want to be able to have the energy to show up and serve your community. And so not that that isn't a path that you can take, but there are also many other paths that you can take. And when you really know that purpose, it's going to fuel you forward, and it's going to be able to keep you on track through the ebbs and flows. And even if that exact goal doesn't work out, or you don't, it takes you a lot longer than you think, you're going to have that purpose to keep driving you, to be your driving force. And decide. So to make a final choice or judgment about, to select as a course of action, to infer on the basis of evidence, to fix the course or outcome of something. So in this stage of the process, it is time to open up your throat chakra and speak your dreams aloud. Make an unchangeable decision to go for it. So this is where you want to start to like say some affirmations, to announce your intentions to the people in your community. And when you do that, you're going to get some support, and you're also going to get some accountability. If we don't speak our desires out loud, it can be really easy to just push them off to the side. And it's like, oh, well, maybe I'll get back to that later. And you don't have this accountability. But if you start to tell people, you have a little bit more of a reason to bring it to life. And you're also going to be able to attract the right people. So if you start telling people what you're up to, and then you're committed to taking this next move, then people out there that might be able to help you are going to be able to show up and start to give you their resources or lend a helping hand. And so that's going to also provide you just like a way to bring your dreams to life. And it's really great to just kind of amplify that message. When we start to speak our dreams aloud, we are finding other people who feel similarly, and then they can amplify our voices. So practice saying your affirmations in the mirror, or give yourself a high five in the mirror. This is a fun little trick that just kind of like helps me to celebrate and to keep going. So your affirmations should be stated in the present tense. So for example, I am living the lifestyle of my dreams. I have all I need to succeed. I add value to the world. My path is clear of all obstacles. I serve my community in a way that feels fun, easy, and the universe rewards me with an abundant flow of riches in all areas of my life. So why do affirmations actually work? Well, positive affirmations are a simple yet effective way to reshape your perspective and shift your attention away from the subconscious limiting beliefs that maybe you've developed throughout your lifetime. So if you build a habit of affirming what you want more of in your life by writing down your intentions in the present tense, posting them where you can see them often, and stating them aloud when you notice your mind drifting to those harmful negative thoughts, then you're just going to kind of program your brain to, have that positive outlook, that different perspective. And when you have that feeling of like, this has already happened, or even if you don't quite believe it yet, saying it over and over again is just going to help to kind of start to shift your brain and your mind away from those harmful negative thoughts and focus your attention to the good ones, raising your vibration, raising your frequency, so that through the law of attraction, through that just ability to share your frequency and attract that same like frequency to you, you're going to be, just kind of tricking yourself into thinking that these things are already real, that they're already true. And your brain is just going to start to be alert when those opportunities come up. And you're just going to be emitting this higher frequency that's attracting more of those things that are on the same frequency. And so it's the repetition of affirmations that leads to belief. And once that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen. Muhammad Ali. Oh, Catherine Zinkina, manifestation babe. This is one of my favorite affirmations and something I like to say over and over. My success is inevitable. I am always on the right path. That's just a really easy one to have in the back pocket. So even if you're having a bad day, even if you feel like things are falling apart, or they're not going to plan, my success is inevitable. I am always on the right path. And of course, I'm the Good Witch, so I have to share some spells, right? A simple spell. So this is just a reminder that you don't need candles, herbs, crystals, or anything else of the sort to cast a spell. And you can certainly use those things to enhance your spell, to enhance the energy around your intentions, but your words alone are extremely powerful. Your thoughts are extremely powerful. You don't even really have to say this stuff out loud, but it helps. I think it helps. But the key to a good spell is really just to speak or write your intentions in the present tense, just like an affirmation. So this can be super fun, and it can be really helpful to rhyme. And I mentioned this earlier at the beginning. It just like when I have something that rhymes, it's easier for me to just like remember it and to call on it when I need it. It's definitely not necessary to rhyme. It's definitely not necessary to even say this out loud or to write it down, but just like repeating these affirmations in your head, getting really clear on your intentions, and making sure that you're forming a habit, a routine, a ritual of shifting your attention to the things that you want versus the things that you don't want. And this is just fun, a fun, easy way to lift your spirits, to raise your vibrations, to elevate your mood. So here's an example. The moon is growing in the sky. My magic powers are on the rise. The universe is on my side, calling in my spirit guides. Sprinkle signs along my path. Be my compass, be my map. Show me where I need to go. All I do is done and flow. And you can even kind of turn it into a song. Like I have so many fun little songs that I just sing throughout the day. And even if it's not like an affirmation or an exact intention, just singing singing and like rhyming can just lift your spirits, and it makes you feel good, and it helps you feel more in tune with those magic powers and just like the high vibrations. So give it a try, take it or leave it. And try writing your own spells. Like, you don't have to use my spells, write your own, because it'll just be a fun little practice. And develop. So this is our next phase. We're moving on. To set forth or make clear by degrees or in detail, to make visible or manifest, to create or produce, especially by deliberate effort over time, to expand by a process of growth through evolution, by successive changes. And I thought that this picture was so fitting for this step, develop, that really goes into that, category of the spring season, that waxing moon season, where it's a really great time for growth, for planting seeds, for watering them. But I wanted to share just a photo of like flowers on a tree. So I want to invoke that symbolism and that vision in you of growth. And a huge part of growth that I'm reminded of here in Hawaii is that, these trees, they blossom, they bloom with beautiful flowers, and then the flowers fall off and they release and they grow again. And so we have to remember that shedding and letting go is also a really big part of that growth process. And so that is something that we kind of think about in that fall stage. When the trees shed their leaves, they are letting go, and then they will bloom again. And so I want you to think of your dharma in that way. We have to grow and develop, but then we release and we share our gifts and we let them go, and then we'll maybe have that period of a winter season where we can go in and then we have more growth. So that was just why I wanted to add in that little slide there. We made it to the final step of the process. Deliver. Okay. To set free, to produce the promised, desired, or expected results, to come through with, to produce, to take and hand over to, or leave for another. I want you to think signed, sealed, delivered. So at some point, you've got to show up with what you've got. Come through for yourself and crush your to-do list. Holding yourself accountable and following through on your promises builds confidence. So it feels so good to know that I just made it through this presentation right now. There are, going to be so many times in our lives where we have worked on something and it's so important to us and we just feel like it's never quite finished. It's never quite ready, but you've got to show up with what you've got and put it in other people's hands at some point. So I am just so grateful that you have stuck with me this entire time. I know that this presentation isn't perfect. I know that this masterclass isn't perfect. It's never going to feel quite finished. There's always going to be room for growth, but I know that, if I really want to make a difference in anybody's life, I have to share it. I have to share what I have. I can always go back later and make some changes and updates. So I do just want you to know that now that you have made this investment in the Good Life Masterclass, you have it for life. You are going to always have access to the latest and updated version. I have no doubt that I'm going to go back and make changes. As I've talked about, we are constantly changing and growing as humans, and we're learning. And, I want to put this out there. And even though it's never going to feel quite ready, I just know that I can always come back and I can add to it, or, I can, if there was something that I said that I feel like came out a little bit wrong, or that I didn't exactly mean, that I have the power to change it. But, I've got to show up and I've got to share this. If I want to get it out there into the world, and if I want to help anybody else to live their dharma. So thank you so much again for just being here with me. This this is a learning process for me too. So as we wrap up, let me just give you a quick review of everything that we talked about. As you know, the Good Life Ferris wheel is made up of 4 main phases, but I just wanted to have a quick visual in here for you to see the 12 steps of that process. So that's what you see there. And this is something that you're going to redo over and over and over again. It's not meant to just be done once. So fall in love with the process, have fun with it. And just remember that practice makes progress. And, metamorphosis doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take time. And so think of a butterfly, they are born as this little caterpillar and they flourish into a beautiful butterfly. And that's going to take some time. It's going to take patience. And, you have to love yourself as you are. If you ever want to make any growth or changes or a transformation in your life. That is definitely the first step. But divine transformation isn't about changing who you are. It's about becoming who you were born to be, like a beautiful butterfly. So remember to slow down, reflect, nourish your mind on a regular basis. Surround yourself with people who remind you of who you are and who lift you up. Get fresh air, eat healthy foods, and move your body in a way that feels good. Try new activities that allow you to explore and be creative. Rest when you're tired. The sun will rise and we will try again. And this photo is from a retreat that I attended in Costa Rica, a women's retreat hosted by my friend Anna. And she is just somebody who is completely living her dharma and sharing her gifts. And she just has this mission to serve and help people. And I'm just so grateful that she created such a beautiful experience that brought me together with other like-minded women. And it was just such a beautiful week of learning experiences and growth and sharing. And so just a reminder to continue to seek out those people, those experiences that help you to grow, that give you a safe space to be yourself. So thank you, Anna. And you can find her on Instagram at microdosing guru, and she'll be tagged here as well. So just a few last minute tips here for building a practice, building a routine. I'm not a super routine person. I have certain practices that I'll use for a little while and then I kind of let them phase out and I'll move to something else that seems to be working a little bit better. I can come back to it. I don't like to be on a specific schedule every day. I don't like to put those rules on my life. But I do really like to just keep these key elements in mind. And there's really no particular order, but these are just little practices and things or reminders, elements of my routine, and things that I like to just try to make sure I'm incorporating into each day in whatever capacity or form that they play out in that moment. So hydration, nature, movement, stillness, creation, connection, learning, play, and breath. And so you can, take these in whatever form that you want. You can also kind of layer them. Habit stacking is a really good technique. And so maybe your stillness practice is also happening at the same time that you're in nature and you're out, you decide to do your meditation or sit in silence and stillness outside, rather than doing it inside, so that you don't have to consciously do each one of these things at a different time every day. Same with your movement. Maybe you choose to do your movement outside in nature. And just keeping these things in mind is going to help you to, just feel better overall. And, you don't have to use my exact practice there or formula, but these are just the things that work for me. Find what feels good. That was the perfect next slide. So Adrienne Mishler, if you have heard of Yoga with Adrienne, free YouTube yoga. She is my best friend. I feel like I hang out with her a lot. She's got lots of really great content, free yoga online. And her one of her sayings is find what feels good. Find what feels good for you. You don't have to do what somebody else told you to do works for them. You don't have to have this exact morning practice that somebody else told you is what you should be doing, this ritual. Find what feels good for you. This is all about tuning in and doing what feels right, doing what feels aligned. So that's what this practice is all about. And just one last reminder to do what feels good for you. And my bedtime routine. So every night before bed, it can be really nice to just like take a minute to reflect on my day. And I don't always do this, but I find that when I do, I feel a lot better when I wake up the next day. And I can also do this in my mind as well. It's become more of a natural routine, or not even a routine. It's just like something that I'm kind of doing naturally, is like reflecting. And I'm just being like aware of my behaviors and my interactions. Any thoughts that might have held me back throughout the day that I noticed from living my dharma. And so it can be really nice to just kind of like take a minute to reflect on that, whether you're writing it down or you're just like mentally reflecting. And if there's anything that you didn't really like about your day, maybe you can do a little bit of a practice of visualizing how you wish it would have gone instead, or how you would do it next time. Relive that situation, but the way that you want it to go. And so this is just like a form of manifestation, so that the next time that a similar situation comes up, you're already primed for how you want to act or react or take action in that moment, rather than the way that maybe you did this time that it didn't feel so good. And then next, you can shift your attention towards pleasant feelings or thoughts by writing the following lists, or just kind of taking a mental note of daily miracles, a few wonderful things that happened, daily wins. What actions did you take that felt really good, that you felt really proud of, that you're celebrating? And your daily gratitude. What or who do you have to be grateful for? And finally, just do some forward thinking. I love this practice of writing out my goals as affirmations. And so writing them in the present tense. And this action or this exercise is designed to help you take aligned action in your daily life. So writing out your goals as affirmations is going to trigger positive feelings, and it's going to kind of trick your mind into thinking that you've already accomplished it. So this is going to help you kind of manifest your desires a little more easily through the law of attraction. So rather than saying like, I plan to, or I want to achieve this, that cultivates a feeling of that it's still far away. You still haven't achieved it yet. But I like to think about 1 year from now, I am, and I think of myself as already achieving that goal and writing out exactly, what it feels like, what I'm doing when that goal has already been achieved. And so then from there, you can kind of write out, well, what 1 month from now, if I've achieved that big goal from a year from now, what has to happen a month from now for me to kind of be on track with that? And so repeat that process. 1 month from now, I am, and then write your goal as an affirmation in the present tense, like you've already achieved it. And then lastly, you can kind of do 1 day from now. And this is just kind of my way of taking those long-term goals and then making them more realistic by how we can take action in the short term. So 1 day from now, I am, and then I like to write out what I've achieved the next day in the present tense before it's actually happened. So this is just a way for me to kind of tune in with those big dreams and make sure that when I'm setting my goals, my short-term goals, my daily actions, that I'm kind of writing my to-do list for the next day, I've already really kind of tuned in with what is going to be really productive and the most helpful for me to accomplish those long-term goals, because they're aligned. Another fun little saying that I have, and I like to say this one anytime I see 1111, or if you have any other angel numbers, or if you are somebody that likes to like make a wish on a dandelion, or you're in a situation where your friends have the waiter bring over a cake and start to sing you happy birthday, and you have this pressure to all of a sudden make a wish. Sometimes it's like, oh, what am I going to wish for? I don't know. But it's like your heart knows. Your heart really knows what you want. And so rather than feeling like every time you're in a situation like that, that you have to think of all the specific things and list them out, like, no, that causes tension, that causes anxiety. So in those moments, just say, all I wish is flowing through, my wildest dreams are coming true. All I wish is flowing through, my wildest dreams are coming true. And in your heart, you already know what you want, even if it's not super clear in your mind yet. So just repeating that fun little affirmation or that little spell anytime, you're making a wish or, something like that. This is something you can use anytime too. But I like to just when I'm out and about and I see a dandelion, pick it up and blow off the little thingies. And I say my affirmation, all I wish is flowing through, my wildest dreams are coming true. And it's just another fun little way to raise the vibrations and to lift my spirits and to just tune into that universal source power that it always has my back, that I know is always helping me and assisting me in every single moment. And it's just a reminder that it's all working out. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. We made it to the end. So before we wrap up, I have to just say how proud of you I am. Let's just take a little toast to you. Congratulations are certainly in order. And no matter where you are in your own personal journey, I just want you to take a moment to pause and celebrate just how far you've come. So give yourself a big hug or a pat on the back for showing up today, for putting in the work and to divinely transforming your life with intention, with purpose. And I'm just so proud of you for being here. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I'm really honored that you've trusted me with this, that you invested in me, that you gave me some of your time and attention and your valuable energy. And I just really pray that you found the inspiration that you were looking for when you decided to invest in this masterclass. So my goal is, and always has been, to help you find the confidence and courage to take responsibility, to take ownership of your happiness. And if you didn't know before, I hope that you see it now, that you are perfect, you are valuable, you are deeply worthy of a good, happy life. And so thank you so much again for spending time with me. I am just so grateful for my community. And I'm just really full of joy knowing that I have so many supportive and loving friends in my corner. So thank you so much. I'm really excited to see what's next for you. So please keep in touch. And if you ever need anything, just feel free to send me a message on Instagram or send me an email at info@shannonchavez.com. I ever even said my last name earlier, but it is Shannon Chavez. I started using Shannon The Good Witch because I've always felt a little bit weird about my last name. I love my last name. I think Chavez sounds awesome. Shannon Chavez sounds really good together. But so I'm Hispanic, I'm Mexican and Cuban. My mom's Irish, so it kind of cancels each other out. I'm also a little bit Polish and Italian. But anyway, my dad's side of the family, that's where the Chavez comes from. And if you're, Hispanic or in a Spanish speaking country, you would pronounce it Chavez. And so I've always had a little bit of resistance to it. Why do we say it this way? And I've had a lot of people kind of question it. And so it's been a little bit of a weird thing for me to always say my last name. I do love that the name Chavez or Chavez actually means key maker. And so I think my ancestors were probably somewhere way down the line key makers. And I love thinking about that symbolism as I, really step into this role as an educator, as a coach, because I really hope that I'm opening doors for you. I'm opening the way for you to follow your bliss, to just live out your dreams. And, I hope I'm kind of embodying my ancestors in being a key maker, a way maker, and showing you that there are so many paths and that anything is possible. So I hope you see that the doors are open, and I really hope that you'll keep in touch and you'll keep me updated. So ways that we can stay connected. Like I said, follow me on Instagram at Shannon The Good Witch. You can tune into my podcast, Light Up, on Spotify. And this is something that I kind of put a pause on for a while, but I am ready to bring it back. And without rules, whenever I first created the podcast, I really wanted to make sure I was putting out a new episode once a week. But that was really tough for me to keep up with in that season of life. And so as much as my intention now is to create as much content, as much free content as possible to share with you, to continue helping as many people as possible to live their dharma, I am not going to place that rule on myself. I can't promise that I'm going to have a new episode every week, but I promise when I have something good to say, when I have something to share, it will be there. So go ahead and follow along and listen and keep an eye out for those new episodes. I think there are like 7 or 8 up now, so you have something to start with. And I have free group coaching. So every couple of weeks, I hop onto Zoom. And it usually aligns with the waxing moon or the waning moon, or the first quarter or the third quarter moon. Those are generally like the dates. And those are like bi-weekly free group coaching calls, very casual. I call it company and conversation. And so it's a little bit different every time. Sometimes it's just a totally free-flowing conversation. Other times I'll walk you through, kind of a lesson. Or sometimes it's just really like a mastermind. We each get an opportunity to share what's working, what we're celebrating, what's not working so for us so well, and what we maybe need help with, so that we can all kind of offer each other support. I want to connect you with other like-minded people that are going to raise you up, lift you up, and amplify your message. I don't want to always feel like I am the one that has to be there to help, because that kind of is in the past has put like a lot of weight on my shoulders and pressure. So instead, I want to make sure that you have a community of people that you can count on, even if I'm not available in the moment. So that's why I like to bring people together, so that you can meet other open-hearted, like-minded, purpose-driven people. And I'm just like, I love all of you guys. I love my community, and I want you to meet each other. So also, you can always book a one-on-one coaching session or package with me. And I have actually some new packages that I'm really excited about that are like a combination of coaching and portrait photography, so that we can really highlight you as your best self, and really pinpoint your superpowers and what makes you unique as a person or as a brand or a business. So you can always go over to shannonChavez.com or shannonthegoodwitch.com to put in an inquiry for a one-on-one coaching session or portrait session. And last but not least, the Good Coven. So this is something that I'm, really just kind of starting up. It's brand new, but it's a relaxed, come as you are space where individuals come to gather, play, share, and grow together with a greater good in mind. And you can read up a little bit more about it here in the presentation and the slides, or you can go over to shannonthegoodwitch.com and find out a little bit more about this community. And you'll have just like a lifetime membership. Once you sign up, then you can just go ahead and come to any of our events. And you'll also be added to our Facebook group. And in that Facebook group, we'll be able to stay connected. I'll be sharing just different classes or tools or little workshops kind of like this, but generally in shorter form. Sometimes I'll have guest speakers or invite other members of the community to share their gifts with us. And so I really hope that you will stay connected in whatever way feels easy and feels best for you. But one final thought: becoming who you're meant to be begins with knowing, loving, and trusting who you already are. So be true to yourself, and the rest will fall into place. Be kind, be loving, and be you. I am here if you need me. So that's it. I'll let you go. But for goodness sake, go out and live your dharma.